It is the last week of August, which means footy finals are around the corner down under in both the NRL and the AFL. The finals picture is becoming clearer. We do have Brisbane versus Hawthorn on right now. It's Sunday night. Big loss for the Doggies. They'll need a big favour from Essendon come Wednesday. But the AFL's pretty much set. The NRL's getting closer. 8, 9, 10 in the NRL looking pretty interesting. Plus a comprehensive preview of one of our favourite sports in the NFL. Check out our last podcast for all the NFL fantasy talk. We do have videos on the YouTube for positional breakdown, and we'll also chat a bit of UFC and EPL at the end of the pod. This is On The Esky. It's an Aussie sports podcast. We like our Aussie sport. We like our US sport. Like to have a bit of a laugh and a dribble. On YouTube, we put in some timestamps so you can skip the sports that you like. We do have social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, and the like. Hit that subscribe button if you're just finding us for the first time on YouTube. We'd like to shout a beer to start off the show.
Shout occasionally as well.
Yeah, that's right. To commend good sporting endeavour. And we've got some Aussie-themed shout a beers this week. Shauno, who you got?
Yeah, well, I thought I was going to have to split a beer to a couple of blokes that potentially don't like to share, but then I had to add a third person to that. So I'm going to shout a beer out to Travis Head, Mitch Mars, and Cam Green. All three top order, tonned up for the Australia in the one-day international against South Africa, the third of which, after losing the previous two. It's good to see them come out and actually hit some runs on a bit of a road there in Mackay. So they finished, 431 for two. Alex Carey threw in a lazy 50 himself in the end there to get the second highest ever one-day score by Australia. So, pretty impressive stuff for them. And I think, there's a few of those boys like to put some beers away. I think they can each have one versus trying to share one for a bit of a ride in the ship after two pretty dismal one-day games that a lot of people weren't overly interested and not a lot of people were interested in this one.
Yeah, I think I was saying to you pre-show, my level of intrigue for cricket in a two-way white ball series in an Ashes year was dwindling, I would say. So this has definitely piqued a bit of interest, I think, in one of the craziest scores that you'll see in one-day international cricket. I did have a little bit of apprehension at the break because there was a time when we went out and made 430 odd against South Africa in South Africa, and they chased it down. So that doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere near it tonight.
No,
probably going to win by 250 plus.
Yeah. Good point out there that Cam Green also got that ton off 55 balls as well. And I just
seen them like beach balls.
Yes, I'll give an update on that. They're already down 7 after 20 overs at 142. So I think it's unlikely they're in the bowlers basically now.
Yeah, that's all she wrote.
For South Africa, yeah. Be a mammoth task from that point. But yeah, good to see the Aussies actually playing some cricket good again.
Going to keep the Australia-South Africa theme going. I'm going to shout the Wallabies a beer. They beat South Africa last week over at Ellis Park in Johannesburg. That was their first win at Ellis Park since 1963 and their first win in South Africa since 2011. So things definitely looking up Millhouse for the Wallabies. Still a fair way to go.
Did you see what the score was at halftime?
Yeah, they were down 22 zip.
Yes.
So turned it around in the second half, and I think they're running 38 unanswered points last weekend. A couple of intercept tries, long distance effort there from Suoli'i and Tom Wright and Max Jorgensen. So the outside backs looking pretty dangerous once they're in the open field. Unfortunately, didn't get the biscuits last night, but it was a close game. I think they lost by 8 last night, so they split the series over there in South Africa. And the Rugby Championship's off to a pretty intriguing start with Argentina beating the All Blacks overnight as well. So it means each team in the Rugby Championship has 1 win, 1 loss to start the series. And yeah, it's not over before it starts. With us playing 2 away in South Africa, to come away with a win is a massive effort from the Wallabies.
Yep.
This is an interesting one. We'd like to do a mop of the week, for something funny, silly, stupid. There's a guy over in the NFL who is definitely getting his go this year at the Atlanta Falcons. His name is Michael Penix Jr. Sean, there was an unfortunate broadcasting error on one of the Atlanta TV stations.
Yes.
What could Penix possibly go to?
Yes, well, when you check your laptop or your computer and see how close the S and the X are together, you can kind of see where this went. And he was called Michael Penis Jr. in his name card for the interview he did for some of the local media. So
From
unfortunately,
WTOC Sports.
Yes, unfortunate there for Michael Penis Jr. Poor Penix. But yeah, that's a bit of funny mop behaviour there for that one.
We're going to talk a whole lot of NFL in just a sec. We'll start with our local footy in the first section. So we'll go league into AFL into the NFL. But the NFL will be a big preview. So stay tuned for that if you're that way inclined. Probably about 45 minutes away. Yeah. But let's kick it off with some rugby league. Round 25 in the NRL, the top 8 definitely taking some shape, but some interesting games last night, which kept a few teams alive. Thursday was pretty dismal showing from my team, the Dragons, in front of just 7,000 fans there at Accor Stadium. It's been, I think, one of the wettest Augusts on record in Sydney. I feel like every game of rugby league I've watched over the last month has been torrential. 7,000 maybe a bit over, as it looked like there was about 100 people in there on viewing on Thursday night, and it was a pretty one-sided affair. Granted, the Dragons were pretty banged up, so they had that horrific head clash last week between Jack DeBellin and Hamish Stewart, where they both sort of wrapped around the tackler and KO'd each other. Yep. And then Hamo Sele also went into the protocol. So missing your forward pack after the Warriors game probably didn't help. But no excuses, I don't think, for getting pump 40 zip.
No.
And South, probably all the talking point now, well, they've avoided the spoon. They've confirmed with a bye next week, and with winning that game, they can't get the spoon. It's only the Knights and Titans, I think, that are left there. But all the talking points around South Sydney is Alex Johnson, okay? So
he's a bit unlucky as well.
I think in a 40-point win, you'd think he might have had a hattie. But
I think he was sharing it around a little bit too. So, he wasn't greedy in this one.
Just scored the one, so he goes to 210. So he's 2 behind Ken Irvine. They have the bye, and then into the Roosters in the final week of the regular season. So he'll need a double to equal Ken Irvine, and he needs a hattie to go past him this season.
Yeah, he's not one to not do a hat trick. He's definitely got a few of those in his game. But I think a lot of those came with Latrell, and Latrell I think has been dealing with a back injury at the moment, so unlikely that they'll be full strength. So we'll see what Alex Johnson can do with one to go. Yeah,
he doesn't mind a hattie. I think we said on the pod this year, I think he equaled or went to outright first for most hat tricks in his career. So definitely some AJ watch in a couple of weeks, and then South will pretty much be looking to Mad Monday, as will the Dragons. Dragons still have 2 games left, I believe, Manly and Penrith. So they'll probably be thinking about Mad Monday too. Shout out to Ashen Ward. I had to look up his age, 21. He looks like about 17. Babyface assassin, playing with a 6 on his back for South. Looks like a reasonable talent. I think he weighs in at about 78 kilos, which is pretty small in modern NRL standards. But he's obviously there because he's skillful. Shout out to the babyface assassin, Ashton Ward. Leads us into Friday night and the Mudgee Miracle, as it's been spoken about over the last 48 hours. Interesting when the NRL schedule makers did the draw at the start of the year. Probably didn't think that this could have been potentially a grand final preview in Mudgee, getting the home game against the Raiders for country footy round. Alas, it was looked really good out at Mudgee there, about close to 10,000.
Good crowd.
Yeah, 10,000 in there, more than they had at Accor Stadium the night before.
Weather has been nice.
Yeah, weather. Yeah, definitely asterisks. And I don't know if I've seen a crazier finish to a game of rugby league potentially ever, and that might be no Mayo.
Yeah, I agree, especially in the Golden Point era where most people kick goals to try and win their games. Yeah, to have one ricochet off the posts and go 100 to win the game, very rare, if ever, has happened. So yeah,
I don't think that's happened. That exact sequence of hitting the post, regather, and score on the same play, I'd be pretty happy to say that has never happened in the Golden Point era. You just had the feeling, didn't you, that once Ethan Strange had broken the line,
I was just
past Dylan Edwards.
I was just thinking about it. It was like when Cleary kicked that ball, it was just like shit. Oh, hit the post, and then Stewart recovers, and you're like, oh, he breaks it. And then you're just like, okay, Ethan Strange has got it. Getting a bit horny for it, and then he's gone down the sideline. And
a few Panthers probably caught ball watching, which is understandable, I think.
And then, you see KO Weeks looming up, and you're just like, oh, they're going to do it. They're going to run away with it.
Weeks did a good job to finish as well, because that ball was a little bit back shoulder, and then he showed his acceleration after sprinting 90 metres to finish off that try. It was interesting, wasn't it, that it hit the post, then bounced,
yep.
And then Jed Stewart is in the air.
Jumps to get it.
So I think Liam Martin and whoever was next to him sort of half pulled out of levelling him, because they probably could have absolutely sent him
I think whoever was on the right side looks more like he overran it, bumped. And he was probably out of position. And then whether that made the other guy, which I think might have been Liam Martin, go, am I not meant to tackle him? And you see him put his arms up, like, hey, I'm not doing it. But as we did a little research, and they clarified last year, like, just do it in that position is fair game. Yeah. As long as they, of course, don't pile drive him into the ground, he's allowed to be tackled if he's leaping to grab a ball.
So, crazy finish. It means the Milk will finish top two. So that's confirmed.
Tigers next week, and then into
Dolphins. Yeah, Tigers and Dolphins. Dolphins are away and potentially playing for their season. And
I think that Tigers game's almost sold out, by the way, because if they win their minor premiers.
Yeah, with their points difference, essentially win and minor premiers.
Yeah. And being at home, it's pretty much sold out.
And which hasn't happened. The Raiders haven't been minor premiers since 92, I think. So, a fair bit of history. Definitely a fair bit of buzz around town. We're Canberra-based, and anyone that's sort of that way inclined is starting to think about, should we get prelim final tickets and grand final tickets and all the rest?
It just feels like, I put it in there, the year of the Milk after that, the miracles that it is. He uses this like it's all coming up Millhouse, essentially.
100%. There is a team that looks pretty dangerous, though, in the Melbourne Storm. They're into $2.50 to win the whole comp, pretty short. The Dogs actually blow out to over $9 with this loss in the second game Friday. How good was Friday? We had essentially some finals type footy. Yeah. So they had 25,000 in the house at Amy Park, which is not bad when Collingwood playing across the road down there deep in AFL territory. We have to go back because we didn't talk about it last pod, but Storm and Panthers
was also good.
Yeah.
Harry Grant, no.
What are your thoughts on that? Did it look like a bit of milking to you? Or I know you're a big Harry Grant homer.
Yeah, true. With the Queensland.
when he's got it right on,
yeah. I think he was in his rights to milk that, but also the Penrith bloke didn't do him his favours by taking that one side step.
He's one step.
So, he takes one step.
Leota.
Yeah, but it shows intent to be a blocker, and you just... if you're giving the ref an opportunity to blow his whistle, and we've seen with AKIs, they'll happily blow them. So, I think if you stand still and doesn't do it, then you can. It looks even worse on Harry, and you could probably say, "Hey, that's a milking," versus Pat McAfee on TV versus what you kind of saw in that. So
that camera angle from behind the goalpost looked pretty ordinary for Harry. Like, he's really gone out of his way to
loop around.
Yeah, exactly, and hang one arm out, and then the arms go up in the air, and potentially a bit of gamesmanship.
True. But having said that, he's learned from the master that is Cam Smith, and who did plenty of these sorts of things himself, and he gets the bickies in that one. But
you see post-match Danica Mason just asking the hard-hitting questions. Love Danica's work, and she had implied that there might have been a little bit of acting involved there.
There's been some interesting takes as well, because I forgot the Eels bloke, but they're taking the dive as well, and then Volander's coming out during the week saying, diving essentially is not in the spirit of the sport, and it hurts your integrity. So, if you want to be your legacy is, if you will, wants to be respected going forward, like you don't do that. And then he said some comment about there's no other football league in the world that does it. And then all the comments are just soccer. Because it was like, bloke's never watched a round ball game in his life.
Neymar shooting stars meme flying to the moon.
Yes.
But it's not a good look, I don't think. And you can argue that it's gamesmanship and it's smart and this and that. But I don't know. You wouldn't want to win a grand final like that, would you?
No.
Anyways.
But you'd also love to win a grand final. So
I suppose. Going back to this game, Storm got out the gates pretty hot. It was 12-0 at halftime. The Dogs actually played pretty good in the second half, but ended up going down 20-14 and starting to see a few question marks around Canterbury. Definitely in the first half of the season, looked pretty good. I think the only team to come down here and beat the Raiders. So the last month they've lost to Wests. They did beat the Warriors. They lost to the Chooks. They lose to the Storm last night. They're most likely going to finish in the top 4, so should get a second chance. But I just don't know if the Lockie Galvin mid-season coming in, Toby Sexton probably hadn't done a whole lot wrong, in the last 18 months. I don't know if that throws a bit of a spanner into the works. They're actually quite good in Lockie Galvin's first few games as a Dog, but have certainly gone cold through August. But it's looking like they'll get at least 2 chances.
They'll play finals. So
they'll play from the top 4.
So I saw a hot take that this is kind of very Gus Gould, and the idea being that he rebuilds the team, but then can't stop tinkering. And the comparison was with Penrith and with Ivan coming back to be head coach. Basically said, I don't want to come back unless if Gus is there for this kind of reason, because he wants to be involved and maybe tinkers too much. He's obviously seen, the team's running first, playing really well, but then he's just like, I see a really good talent that we could potentially add and grow, but at the cost of this season. So that's what people are thinking. Is just like he's tinkered too much and upset the apple cart, if you will, that spine. And maybe that's, I don't want to say this going to be their season where they.
That's getting.
They've got chances.
That's getting ahead of ourselves, but they're
definitely
nearly at double digits now to win the comp. Which
they do definitely don't look the same team.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre Lockie Gavin coming across.
So you reckon maybe a few too many Chiefs and not enough Indians over at Canterbury? They've got an interesting game on Thursday night. They play against Penrith, so the Gus Gould Bowl, if you will.
Yeah, another litmus test.
Yep. So massive game for them come Thursday night.
On Storm, it's interesting. If they're going to win the comp, their spine needs to be healthy. It's probably the main thing. I think not this week, but last week. Well, this week, Munster had the 1 on his back, but Pappy was back playing in 23.
Yep.
But last week, didn't Munster play 1?
Munster played 1. Pappy late inclusion, as you mentioned, with a number in the 20s on his back Friday night, and still waiting on the return of Jerome Hughes, which I do believe will happen. Had that shoulder dislocation event probably a month ago now, so didn't go for surgery, so that they'll be doing their best with their medical team to try and rehab that and get as strong as possible leading into the finals.
At this point, they mathematically still can be minor premiers, but you locked into the top 4, so again,
top 2, I think.
So
with their points difference, they're 4 points clear of Canterbury now and over 140 with the points difference. So they'll get a double chance from home.
So again, you don't need to risk it. Wait to finals and Hughes can come back.
It almost makes it more scary. The fact that they can put away good teams, with a mismatch, or mixing and matching, I should say, through their spine and without their Dally M winner from last year.
Yep. You think they've got a good coach or something?
I would say so. A good system, perhaps.
Yes.
Manly keep their season alive last night with a 58-30 win over the Dolphins.
Dolphins be getting pumped.
A few times in the last couple of weeks.
They've got a few lines through their name, I think.
Yep. A couple of times they've conceded the 50 burger. Was DCE's 350th game, so massive night there at Four Pines Stadium. And Manly keep their previously slim chances alive, but Warriors did beat Titans, but let's go straight to the Eels beating the Roosters, because that really makes things pretty interesting, right? So
was that Moses' first game back for them? No, he played the last
couple, maybe?
A couple, yeah.
Roosters finish They don't finish. Roosters currently are 28 points, and the points difference is 72. Dolphins in 9th, 26 points. Points difference 81. Yep. Manly also 26 points, but the points difference is shocking. Okay, +4. That game would have done their points difference a whole heap of good. But yeah, to turn around 80 points difference against the Dolphins, probably not going to happen. So Manly play the Dragons next week.
Good for them.
Yeah, next week. And then they play the Warriors at home. So would probably fancy themselves here, but they're going to need some results.
Yeah, well, Roosters got Souths and...
Yeah, Roosters next week's Melbourne.
Storm, so yeah.
So potentially could be,
last round.
Yep.
Yeah, round 27 and winner gets in potentially.
And Dolphins have Titans at home and then Raiders. Yeah. But that's a bit of that round 27 game. The Raiders may have a minor premiership wrapped up and potentially could be resting.
Juvie squad?
Yeah, could be resting a few players there too. So Chook's still in the box seat.
Yep.
Definitely. But they really could have all but clinched with a win last night. So it's a pretty costly loss for them.
And I do want to say Sam Walker concussion in that.
Yeah.
He's been really good for them since coming back. And then, losing Sam was a big out. I don't want to say the one reason they lost, but you lose.
A massive factor.
Yeah, it's a massive factor. And they'd
been trending in the right direction, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of had that momentum, if these guys
Teddy's playing excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, they still got a pretty decent list regardless. So, they just were lacking some quality halves. And I guess, depending on how bad that concussion is, which I believe is a Cat 1, he's going to miss some time. So
so we missed that Melbourne game and then potentially be back for South the following week. But you're right. It doesn't go down to one player, but he's pretty handy, 7.
Yeah. While we're here, we might mention that they still haven't confirmed the DCE deal. Basically, from my understanding, is the options are he either retires or he takes a 1 year, $500,000 deal with the Roosters, and potentially trains up the young fellas for a season before retiring. So that's there. And the other thing I wanted to say was Daniel Tupou actually went to 4th all-time, taking over Steve Menzies last week after he got a double, I believe. So he's... 182 there.
He's been quietly going about his business, hasn't he? We're talking a lot about Alex Johnston and, rightly so. Daniel Tupou is a tad older than Alex Johnston, so probably never going to get the outright record. But the fact that he's jumped Beaver Menzies.
Yes. Two more seasons than Alex.
Well, he stays healthy next year. He goes past Billy. He's only 8 behind Billy. So good chance he gets 200. Good chance he goes top 3 of all time. Just quietly going about his business, Mr. Reliable Daniel Tupou.
Yep, agree.
But yeah, good point because that did happen last week and I hadn't mentioned it. Knights look pretty ordinary today. I didn't see any of this. I just saw the
Broncos smashed him. The interesting, I think, was Ben. Did Ben Hunt play in this?
Yep, 350.
350 for him. The funny stat for that was he and DCE. I think he was a day earlier than DCE, and now he's a day after
for making his debut.
Debut versus making the 350. So pretty interesting that they've been pretty healthy and consistent for their careers. That's good there, and I guess it's pretty useful for the Broncos after losing a couple of halves to hamstring injuries that Ben Hunt can slide straight in there for him.
I think I saw that Ben Hunt has the most losses as an NRL player as well.
You play for the Dragons for half your career, of course.
Hey, settle. We had a few with the Broncos too. Yeah. So
took over from and now suddenly surpassed by Ben Hunt. Yes.
Yeah. So Paul Gallen and Scott Prince formerly, unfortunately, had that record, and Ben Hunt now has the most losses. Mate, you win or you learn, and old Dozer's done a lot of learning.
Yep.
Thanks a lot to my Dragons. He deserved better than us, didn't he?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Payne Haas did confirm during the week or last week that he's going to play for Samoa at the end of the season. Big Tino said he's going to stay and play for Australia, which was good because it was looking likely he would switch as well. There's been a lot of, I think we talked a little bit about throwing all the money at him. The Dragons believe have put in a huge deal.
That'd be a good signing,
to sign Tino from the Titans. I think the Titans are trying to throw in a bigger deal, but it looks like he's going to be a big domino that'll have a lot of teams chasing him, like we mentioned the Bears also not that long ago.
Have you seen this potential Samoa lineup?
Yeah, it's good.
Fucking scary.
It's also why there's that conversation ongoing about origin eligibility and where the international game fits into that. Because, Samoa's faster, they're not tier 2 anymore. Let's put it that way.
No, they should be tier 1, but maybe they need to revisit the rules there. Well, look, I didn't mean to turn this into an eligibility chat, but it's always going to come up, isn't it?
Yeah,
when blokes are defecting to the country of their heritage, which I think keeps the international game interesting.
And I had seen a couple of reports about they're thinking about it and need to look at it. But we're probably 12 months to 18 months away from them making a decision about what the long-term origin eligibility rules look like, because, there's a lot of blokes that want to play for, their heritage essentially instead of green and gold. So.
Maybe they need to look at rule changes when Samoa consistently can beat Australia. Like, it's not panic stations at this stage.
No, I agree.
But I think it might need to be a conversation as we head towards 2030 perhaps.
Exactly. So you might not be far away and you'll see a few Kiwis playing in Origin.
And Tigers Cowboys this Arvo also haven't.
It was a close game, but I heard the Cowboys got away with the bickies in that one.
I believe so. I think it's a Tigers season. This was just this afternoon, and neither of us have tuned in for it. Tigers Cowboys NRL. 34-28. Cowboys win that. So that, I think, is the Tigers' finals hopes done and dusted.
Yeah, they tried. I did see one of the highlights from this where they tried to roll the clock back to 2005. They had a break down the sideline, big flick pass inside. Ooh. Yeah, and then, full, long range 100-metre try back in the end of it. So
that'll get a few Tigers diehards hot under the colour.
They were definitely, in this one, potentially win it. But, the Cowboys are just too good in the end.
It's a pass of a season for the Tigers, isn't it?
It's better than where it has been.
100%. Yeah, look, they would have loved to have played finals. I'm sure their fans would have loved them to play finals, but to, essentially be the laughing stock of the NRL over the last few seasons, to go into a fairly competitive team and knock off a few good teams, they would have been disappointed with the loss today, but certainly going in the right direction and given some of the Tigers faithful, maybe something to look forward to in 2026.
Yeah, and the good thing for 2026 is a lot of the guys that they're hoping on have recommitted. Leilua, Appy have all recommitted. Got the May brothers there; they've committed. I think Adam Dewey re-signed and was going to stay as well.
Fractured his cheekbone today, I think. Yeah, poor fella.
Or around his eye socket as well. Like he didn't look real good. So he's got a bad facial fracture.
Yeah, look, he'd be in a bit of pain, but for a bloke that's had multiple ACLs, I'm sure he
was playing in 7 for them too.
Yeah, so I'm sure I know what he'd prefer though. Sharks had the bye. They'll be there in the top 8. Essentially, a few little things leading into September to keep your eye on. Can the Raiders get that minor premiership? And who is going to sneak into that 8th spot? Chook's in the box seat, but Dolphins and Manly nipping at their heels.
Yep.
All right. We currently have the Lions and Hawks on. Lions are just up, heading towards halftime. But let's look back at the round that was in the AFL.
Aussies won that cricket game, by the way.
Yeah,
155. So I got them all out.
What was it? What was the margin?
155. So
less.
290 odd.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. So got those last 3 wickets very quickly. AFL.
Irrelevant game Thursday night. The Carlton do finish their season with a win. The Bombers unfortunately have to play a Wednesday night game. I'm sure that's what their boys want to do after getting rained out back in the sort of cyclone start to the year back in March. Interesting, Carlton finished the season with 2 wins. They probably played the best footy they've played all year the week before against Port Adelaide. Really came out of the gates looking red hot with Charlie Curnow done for the year. And Big Harry Mackay stepped up, booted 7 straight the week before. And, you'd probably expect to beat Essendon, I would think, given how injury ravaged they've been this year.
I did see a few jokes going around about that. Mackay kicking 7.
7 goals straight.
Yeah, but also finally adding some trade value. So a lot of talk.
Well, not everyone can get traded. Jeez.
Yeah,
we can't lose Harry, Charlie, and Tom De Koning in one off season.
I know. There's a lot of rumours floating around, but
I would say at least one of them will be going through the off season if the media is to be
all the
believed.
build-up.
Yeah. So probably disappointing year for the Blue Baggers, I would think. After a pretty reasonable 2024 campaign and a really nice 2023 campaign, only half a quarter away from making a big dance, really. So a fair bit of speculation around Michael Voss's job, and confirmed a couple of weeks ago that he'll be staying on for 2026, and I think that's nice for him to know that the board is backing him in, and it'll be interesting to see what the off season holds for the Blues, and how many guys get moved, and can they retain some of these big $1 million to $1.5 million players.
Yep. Yeah, Voss's challenge will be the start of next season, how long his leash is going to be.
Yeah, if they start 0-3, cue the media frenzy already if they get off to a poor start in 2026. But yeah, probably
hating on Blues.
An unders season, to be honest, for the Baggers. The Bombers.
No, return to the mean.
The mean of the 11th. Yeah, a bit disappointing after getting a bit of finals footy taste over the last few years, that's for sure. Look, the Bombers, how injury ravaged they've been, you can't really
avoiding the Spooner is a job done.
Yeah, I'd say so. Collingwood get the job done, but they make it look difficult at times. The
D's haven't won since sacked a coach yet, have they?
Nah, so
they've still got a hand in their ticket.
Although they've played well, I think they lost to Hawthorn.
They were in lead in this game, weren't they?
They were leading that, and that's right. They lost by a goal to the Bulldogs. I think like the week they sacked Simon Goodwin. So no, didn't get the win, but also haven't been blown out of the water by some pretty handy opposition. Yep. Good for Pies fans to know that they can get a win leading into September. It also confirms that they'll get a top 4 finish, because they currently sit third, and this game, as it plays out, is going to be imperative for how this top 8 finishes. It's going to be really pretty interesting, barring a draw. Okay, a draw
really fucks everything
up. So let's assume that there's no draw. Yep. Brisbane sit 2 points ahead of Hawthorn. Okay, they currently have a lead of 4 points, did I say? That's less than a goal.
Yeah, a goal. Let's just say it's a goal.
They win. Brisbane wins this game, they go to third.
Yep.
Okay, Hawthorn are 2 points behind, but their percentage is good. Okay, so they'll go equal on points with Collingwood, GWS, Freo, but most likely go to the third as well. So it's a huge game, in terms of 2 weeks' time, finals implications.
Here we go.
The big result, really, which we'll get to in a second, through the weekend was the Bulldogs losing today. Another massive result was Gold Coast losing Friday night to Port Adelaide in Travis Boak's 387th game and his last game at Port Adelaide. Club record for Boakey, 4 prelims, never made the big dance. Obviously, a lot of the criticism around Ken Hinkley, and Hinkley's coaching and Boakey's career definitely lining up for at least the back end of Boakey's career. Didn't make it to the big dance, but finishes as a 3-time All-Australian and was the club captain for a number of years. So they didn't let him down, but it puts the pressure on Gold Coast, because they have to go and win a game that they're expected to win Wednesday night.
That's what I was just checking. So they're, just 2 points behind at the moment?
So they're equal with the Dogs, but they're behind on percentage.
Okay. Behind on percentage, yeah.
So,
but a win will put them above, and
most likely into 8th.
Yeah.
Pending results. Okay. So if this game blows out, Hawthorn's percentage goes down,
and they could
and then Gold Coast smack
Essendon,
they could potentially jump to 7th, but I don't think they can.
Who's the home team?
Next week is Gold Coast.
Yeah,
Wednesday night. Yeah, Gold Coast hosting. Remember, because it was I
thought it was
a replay essentially of
washed out up there. So.
Exactly right. Travis Boak goes out as a winner, and the Gold Coast slip up, and there'll be a few Dogs players there watching, cheering on for Essendon. Adelaide get the win at Marvel yesterday. North Melbourne gone past being whipping boys in the competition, aren't they? We have to talk about Harry Sheasel. He had 54 touches last week down in Tasmania. I think he got the 54th. The crowd was certainly aware of how many disposals he had, because they gave him a big ovation when he got to 50, and then he got to 54. I think there was about 9-10 seconds left on the clock with the centre.
Yeah,
try and get him the outright. And couldn't quite get him to go outright. But the bloke's 20 years of age and had been playing a lot off half-back last year and is getting a good run through the midfield this year and pretty good at football to be racking up those kind of numbers at his age.
Yep.
You know, Tom Mitchell went past 53 times. Pretty crazy, pretty illustrious list, and Tom Mitchell in it 3 times. The Crows do lock up the minor premiership with their win yesterday against the Kangaroos.
So the question here from William 30 is, do we think the Crows are the team to beat?
I'm going to say no, and that might piss off a few of my Crows friends.
Anyone from Adelaide?
They just haven't looked super duper.
I wonder if Steve's changed teams.
Convincing. Oh, you reckon he's lived in Adelaide for a few years and he's jumped ship off.
He's been blue bag.
Less heartbreak.
Yeah. Yes.
They just haven't been putting teams away this last month, but they've been winning games as well.
Yeah,
so,
I kind of feel like, to answer that question, they're like the Lions were 3 years ago. Yep. Like they might be the minor premiers best team during the season long period, but you just run into those teams, and I'm going to use the Lions now as an example, and you've got Geelong and Collingwood. You know, the teams that have won comps recently with all the veteran presidents, etc., in there, they're the teams that always just seem scarier because they know finals football, and that's going to be Adelaide's learning curve this finals. And yeah, maybe they put it all together and have an awesome run and go through, but I feel like they might just hit that wall of, you know, veteran leadership in the finals, whatever you want to call it, and, you know, one of those other teams jags a game over them.
Yeah,
in a hard-fought game that they go down by a goal kind of thing. But then they come back next year and they've had that experience and they know what they need to do to, you know, Lions went through this. You know, a lot of these teams when they were younger went through this. They go through that, you know, the upset of like, we did really good on the season and we just couldn't put the last, you know, stamp on it. Gives you the chip on the shoulder and you come back and then you win the comp. That's kind of how I feel like they're at.
You have to think when they run out next week at the Adelaide Oval, it's their first final since they got pumped by Richmond back in 2017. Yep. So there's not a whole lot of finals experience there amongst the playing group. And then the elephant
in the... Is it Tex the only one there? Was Tex even playing for them, man?
Yeah, Tex was there in 2017. But I think it might be only Tex left over from that group. And then all the fallout from that as well. If anyone that's read Eddie Betts' book or has sort of followed that off-season, you know, they brought in these guys that were meant to make them a bit more mentally resilient, let's say, and you know, that players told them, you know, things in confidence that were then used against them in front of people to pretty much belittle them, and you know, half the team wanted to quit, and then they lose half their list and go from being in a big dance to being irrelevant for a few years, and you have to think that the team's, you know, been playing unreal this year, and I'm not going to take any of that away from them. But just in regards to that question, are they the team to beat? I would maybe have Geelong ahead of them, you know, a little bit more finals experience, sort of been there, done that.
Agree.
They could have, the Crows are going to be good. They get a double chance. They're going to have, you know, Adelaide Oval pumping twice, most likely. But no, I can't have them as my team to beat. No. If I had to pick, gun to my head, I'd pick Geelong.
Yeah, and I'd probably pick, you know, those other two I mentioned potentially ahead of them as well, just purely on finals experience come finals time. Because to me, you bought a ticket to get in, and then you're 0-0 essentially. You start again, and that's where the actual pressure cooker games are really important, and that's where you see the teams maybe with a bit more experience stand up, and that's why they're always there and competitive. So.
And we have to address the elephant in the room. All the talking point throughout the week was Isaac Rankin and how many weeks he would get for a homophobic slur.
Snoop Dogg defense, etc. So,
and it's
just a shit show.
It is, and the fact that, you know, you've got this list of players that it's happened to in the last few years, and some get 3 weeks and some get 6, and then you're thinking, well, the circumstances can't be that different. It's assuming
still the same word.
It's the same word. I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shit show. You got it right there, and the fact that it takes away so much from the rest. And look, I'm not condoning the word, but 4 weeks into potentially rub him from a grand final is is massive. It's going to have massive implications.
Should have just called him McCartney. Would have been fine.
Would have been 100% fine. I'm glad that's an hour into here, so we're not getting flags from YouTube. Probably get a bigger flag for the other word.
Yes.
I don't know. I was sort of jokingly saying in a group chat, maybe because the players get all this media training and whatnot, all this stuff that's off the ball, away from footy. Maybe they just need to run them through a crash course in petty insults, in Australian vernacular, like, your pelican, your muppet, your peanut, blah, 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 and then just drill it into them. So the first thing that comes into my head, if you're being a bit nasty to me on the footy field, is to call you a peanut or something along those lines that can't be taken in the wrong way.
Agreed. There's plenty of other Aussie slang you potentially use.
Anyways.
Over that one.
So definitely a shit show and big talking point throughout the week, but yeah, geez, if they make a GF, it's going to be hard for us at Rankin watching there. They can lose. They can lose their first week, and then because he's already sat one, if they have to go the long way, he can be back for the GF. So watch this space. Yeah. Geez, that'll be a talking point as well if he's playing the last week of September after not playing throughout any of the finals.
Yeah, we didn't cover it, and it's not related to this. But, fingers in the bum's okay by the AFL. So
yeah, there was a weird one, wasn't it? A bit of a Hopawati a couple of weeks ago. Yes. Didn't really, not too much happened. From that.
And they just we'll dust that under the rug. That never happened.
The slow motion.
Yes.
Some kudos to some Crows players that are playing unreal. Phil Thorpe had another good game. He only kicked 3, but had heaps of it. I think he had 12 marks, something like that. Yep. Jordan Dawson's going to go close to winning the Brownlow. Maybe didn't get the 3 votes in that. I think he only had 23 and didn't kick a goal. So that's going to be interesting in terms of the final round for Brownlow votes. But yeah, for mine, I think they're a great team, but the lack of finals experience, I can't have them as the out and out favourites.
Yeah, the team to beat. Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
The team that I'd probably have as the team to beat is Geelong. Their Coleman medalist Jeremy Cameron does finish with 83 goals. He kicked 4 goals last night in their win over Richmond. It's actually the most goals in a season since Brendan Favola. Yep. Big Fev. Back in 2009, he kicked 86. So what's that? A good 16 years since someone's kicked in the mid 80s. And it does mean that the Cats.
He was also 30 goals clear of anyone else. So
far ahead, man. And it's interesting the 100 goals, with finals included, he's going to go close, and depending on how far they get, and it maybe if my prediction's anything to go off, or they'll probably play 3 games, 17 and 3. It's definitely doable. Harder in finals though, if you're playing against elite fullbacks, and defensively it's a little bit different. The Cats do secure second place and a home prelim, and if history's anything to go by, the MCG will be the host of that home prelim. Chris Scott not super happy about it in the presser. GMHBA's had the new seats put in, but it's still 40,000 on
versus
a good
the
day.
MCG. So yeah,
but I can see where he's coming from.
It's a fortress for him, so they always play 100%. Really good there. So
yeah, for them, it's yes, it is just up the freeway to go to the big smoke, but. Brisbane and Adelaide and the Perth teams get there.
Yeah. They know it's not their home ground.
But they get their massive home advantages, for their home qualifying finals, their home prelim. So I can see the point there. I can also see the AFL saying, but you can just drive an hour up the road and get another 60,000 in there.
Yeah. Do you hate money?
Well, it's interesting. I was looking back at it. So Geelong lost the prelim last year to Brisbane at the MCG. And then the year before, they actually missed out altogether. And then the year before that, I don't think they had a home final. So you got to go back to 2022 when they finished first, and their qualifying final was played at the MCG against Collingwood, and they won that. So it's definitely not impossible for them to go up the road and win. But yeah, it does negate some of that fortress type feeling that you do get there at GMHBA.
Yeah, and as we think, if you want to win a comp, you got to go through Geelong. So
you see, I can't remember if we spoke about it on the last pod, but I'll mention it anyway. I think in the last 20 years, they've finished in the top 4 75% of the time.
Yeah,
crazy, man. NRL's got Melbourne Storm, and the AFL's got the Geelong Cats.
Yep, agree.
Sydney beat West Coast last night. They started off pretty slow, the old Swannies, but then it was all one-way traffic in the second half. You've got there that Oscar Allen potentially wants out. Could imagine half the team probably wants out after winning one game.
If all the rumours are with Harley Reid, Harley. I was just like, that's not right. I know there's something wrong there. Harley Reid.
Missing an L.
Potentially going to leave the club at some point. Fairly soon, potentially, with the amount of money that they're talking about and the length of deals.
Stupid money,
yeah. Did someone get a 30 million deal the other day? What was that stupid? It was like 15 years at 2 mil or something.
Naz's deal? Yeah. Is that signed? Let me see that. Nazai Wanganeen deal. Which is actually a nice little segue into the GWS St Kilda game. The long wait ended with a short conversation. Okay, so Nasiah Wangley Miller has displayed on his way becoming football's first ever $2 million player. The AFL.com revealed on Monday. He's 22. I'm just trying to get the length of the deal here.
Yeah, it doesn't have the length there.
Nothing signed.
Nothing signed?
I don't think so.
I had seen something stupid like it was... like a 15-year deal, and it was going to be 30 mil over the course.
You can't give people 15
No,
deals.
But like if he's 22 and you're like, we'll give you play 30 to 37. Yeah, you're one-man club essentially.
God, wouldn't it? Who knows? The way inflation's going.
That'd be great for the league after, say, 6 or 7 years. But also he has to play to that. It's like a baseball deal essentially, because if he doesn't play to that, you're just paying him to do nothing for the back half of his career.
Pretty much from reading this article, I don't think there's pen to paper, but has sort of verbally announced that he would like to stay at St Kilda.
Yes,
yeah, you wouldn't want him to get poached after what he's done, that's particularly in the back end of this year, and probably, I think, definitely a top 10 player in the AFL these days, old Nasiah.
Yeah, so back to Reid, that's kind of showing that he's probably going to get a long deal and massive money. And that, of course, is the concern that West Coast can't keep him. And then if that's the case, back to Oscar Allen, it's like, why would I hang around when maybe I can go to the Lions and potentially compete for a comp?
That would be a disaster if they lose a number 1 draft pick and a good key forward.
Yep.
Watch this space.
It's not like the Lions need more talent, but
no. Well, the way Logan Morris has been going, I don't know if they need another tall forward, but there might be some other AFL clubs that wouldn't mind the signature of Oscar Allen. Today, GWS confirmed their spot in the finals. They sit 4th, but like I said, barring a draw, they will drop out of the 4th, but likely have a home final, or will have a home final, because they can't go lower than 5th, pending the next 90 minutes.
Yep.
And then this was a big one today. This was essentially an elimination final, and poor Dogs fans, with the list that they have, the midfield that they have, Ed Richards and Marcus Bontempelli, both probably going to go top 10 in Brownlow votes. Yep. Looks like they're going to miss the finals.
Good list, yeah.
So had to win today.
Someone good's going to miss out.
They lose 112-97 at home to the Fremantle Dockers, despite the best efforts of their fearless leader, Marcus Bontempelli, 33 disposals, 2 goals. And if they are to miss, I'll just get their percentage. 137 is their percentage. Won 14 games, lost 9. It's kind of just the way that the league has worked out this year, with the bottom teams being so ordinary week in, week out, and not many upsets. Mm-hmm. It's left us with 9 teams that are clearly better than 10 and below, and someone was going to have to miss out, and it's looking more than likely going to be the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, they'll be praying for anything but a Suns win next week. So.
Yeah, cue Homer Simpson meme with Homer going into the hedge wearing his dog's kit and coming back out with Essendon kit. Jeez, there's not many other sort of Hail Marys that you'd want than cheering on Essendon's VFL team, essentially, to go out and beat the Gold Coast Suns on Wednesday. But stranger things will happen, I suppose. And Canberra's put in a submission to be the AFL's 20th team. So a lot of hoopla around the 19th team in Tasmania.
They won't
even going to happen.
Yeah.
What have you heard as a Canberran about Canberra?
Yeah, well, they reported the Nine News and especially in Victoria, reported it, that Andrew Barr, which is our local minister, is put forward that, well, hey, why can't Canberra have the 20th licence? We've got the population to support an AFL team.
Population, yes.
And you see the support that the teams that do play here, which is usually GWS.
Sell out our 11,000 seat stadium pretty regularly.
Right, yes, do it easy. So, and there has been a push for, say, stadium redevelopment, but that's less so for AFL-sized stadium and more for rugby league, rugby union and soccer-sized stadium. So, yes, rectangle versus the oval. So, yeah, there is probably, I guess, that downside, but, they've pushed and putting the point in there, why can't we potentially be that next team?
There's a few holes in the plan. I think the stadium is a big one. I think GWS will sort of dig in their heels a little bit, say, hang on, we've got to deal with Canberra, and we play 3 games at Manuka Oval a year, and all the Giants Academy, and I wonder if Canberra and Riverina feeding into the Giants.
I also wonder if that deal has a time frame and whether it's coming up for a renegotiation. Potentially Canberra's angling as well, like, hey, we'll get another team.
The AFL said, we've given you a bit of cash in the past, few draft picks, have a little bit more preferential treatment here, GWS, to facilitate the
so we don't know if there's a negotiation angle to this at all, potentially as well. But well, at least they've put their hands up, and it's interesting compared to where would a 20th team come from? Would you want to add it to a location that you already have a lot of other teams?
What's your nickname for a Canberra team? Something stupid. The Canberra Roundabouts?
No.
The Canberra Telstra Towers?
You probably nick a name and. Like Canberra Cannons, an old one. So,
what about in the US? They got the Senators or the Capital. Something for the capital city.
Or we could also just do what the Dolphins did and be from
the. Yeah, but you still need a nickname.
Yeah, yes,
that's just losing Canberra. That doesn't solve my previous question of what's the nickname.
Yeah, the Bearer. There you go. Just name the team the Bearer.
The Canberra Albos. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see. I would be surprised.
Well, we're probably like a 3-4 years away from.
The population is a good argument, right?
Yeah, I think we're probably
there's 2 to 3 times more people live here than Darwin.
When's Tasmania meant to start?
2027.
Yeah, 2 years. So we probably don't have a decision for the 20th team until probably like 12, 18 months away, and then it'll have 2 years of setup. Say it's the 2029, 2030 that 20th team comes in. So I think Canberra's just don't forget about us. We are the capital of the country.
Yeah, I live here and I like footy. I'd love to see it happen, but I think there'd be a fair few people in particularly in Perth and Adelaide that might have something to say about it with a ready-made facility.
2 teams there, so
but
it's a competitive market.
That's true, but it was the same thing when Freo and when Port Adelaide came into the competition. They already had their established AFL team, but because of existing strength of SANFL, Port Adelaide's history as a SANFL team, and then the Dockers coming in the late 90s. They're footy mad towns. They've got big stadiums. I would be surprised if Canberra was to beat out say a third Perth team. But watch this space. It is interesting.
Yeah. Jimmy has got me an answer. The deal's through to 2032. So
that's a long time.
Yeah, whether they're
the AFL
angling around that 2030
No way,
period,
that's 7 years away. They'll want a 20th team before then, surely, I would think.
But I wonder...
You know what would be interesting? And the AFL is probably the only competition in Australia that could actually have this happen, is a relegation promotion system, right? Mm-hmm. So say if...
But you're Blues, bro.
Well, we'd be fine. We haven't had a spoon for a while.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to add another Perth team, you've got West Coast have been struggling. You just blow them away and start again.
Imagine, and then there's a big cash incentive, all right? So the AFL's got to support the team that goes up, all right?
But that just kills the team that's there. That's kind of my point. This is like if you add another Perth team, you kill the Eagles. I just wanted to say, I think as a comparison to rugby league, if I'm the AFL, I want to add new markets versus existing.
Okay.
So you're not going to New Zealand.
No.
But I think it's probably
North Queensland. You think Canberra's the best market?
Well, it's a market you can capitalise on, though, and get a full season out of it versus being a part-time couple games from GWS. There's obviously enough members here that support that team that whether you could potentially expand, like shift that market and grow it for Canberra. I think so. But outside of that, it's probably North Queensland and NT. But NT doesn't have the population.
Yeah, NT.
North Queensland maybe is a better shout.
What if they split something? If they were
That's like
the Northern Thunder. It's the NT Thunder in the NEFL a few years ago. What if they had a team that split games between Darwin and Cairns?
Yep.
Yeah, potentially. That might be hard though to, we've seen the merger teams in the NRL kind of struggle with identity and the like. But I don't know. I feel like with all the work that the AFL and GWS has done to try and make Canberra sort of an orange area.
Well, they obviously want to have the Canberra market. Like that's clear,
of course,
because that's why they play the games here. And I guess it also helps GWS because they're not just competing solely with Sydney in their Sydney market, and of course all the other rugby league teams. So it helps them have a bit of an easier market they can get into. But it's whether they think they can build on that and take that in further. Time will tell.
Time will tell. And time will tell as to what this top 8 is going to look like. As it stands, Brisbane hold a 19-point lead against the Hawks. They started this game 0 goals, 8. So they've straightened up their kicking and taken a bit of a lead there at the Gabba. Yeah, that will probably finish as we finish up the pod.
Yeah, I got to say, McAfee's getting a fair bit of TV time out of this. Every time they score a goal, he's being put on it. It's like no Yanks, like AFL, and it's like they're surprised someone actually likes it, so they got to oversaturate, feed the market.
Well, you think about Pat McAfee's podcast.
They got to get the big clip. So
pretty big podcast. If you're unfamiliar with that, check him out and how many subscribers he's got on the YouTube. It makes sense that the camera's panning to Pat McAfee a fair bit.
Yes.
All right, that is a good segue from the AFL into our NFL preview.
Let's go.
He broke his ankles.
Starting east. Well, the AFC. Let's start with AFC.
AFC, what we're going to do, we're going to run through each team, just a quick sort of key points.
Key storylines for that team and
coach, quarterback, how that went last year, et cetera, et cetera. Let's start in the AFC East, and the Bills topped that division last year. They went 13-4. What's the storyline around the Bills this year, mate?
Yeah, well, I think it's for them. It's just to continue. You've got the MVP. You need to bid and have that quest for Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the goal, and with that, you got to develop your wide receivers. Like they've got a young wide receiver core now. James Cook has extended, so. They have the offensive weapons. The defense is probably the same as it was. They just need to – it's Super Bowl bust. They're a team that's Super Bowl bust, and they probably should get out of their division easily based on the competitions they'll have, quarterback versus quarterback. I think they were one of our definite playoff teams last year. Of course, barring a massive injury to Josh Allen.
Yep.
Outside of that, they're a certainty to play in the playoffs.
They might be one of the shortest teams to win their division. They're $1.30 to win the AFC East, and I think I agree with you. It's Super Bowl or bust. They've got their new stadium, which will be interesting to see.
Does that have a ceiling?
The Bills Mafia coming into that. Actually, good question.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I think it's still open air, but I think it has some state-of-the-art snow melting type stuff, like inbuilt.
Heated seats, maybe.
Yeah, it's like all inbuilt. Bills' new stadium. Let's have a look here.
Yeah, that'd be because they've had some, playing playoff football more regularly now. There's been a fair few blizzard games, if you will, up there.
Starting with the 2026 NFL season, so it's actually this is the final year. Final year at the old stadium.
Very close.
Yeah, interesting. So watch your space. Jump the gun there a little bit with the Bills' new stadium. I agree. They should win the AFC East pretty comfortably. Yeah, barring some sort of catastrophic injury to Josh Allen, and then they may even have the depth to even do it without him. I don't think they can win a Super Bowl without him, but they could potentially win their division.
I don't even know who the backup quarterback is. Is it still Case? Is it Keenan?
Yeah, let me have a look at the Bills' depth chart. How they look defensively, because Bills normally known for good defense, but are probably a step behind where they have been in the past.
Yeah, well, the only change I know of is Von Miller, their rotational pass rushers now in Washington. He's at the Commanders. So outside of that, I don't think they've had significant turnover.
That's Trubisky.
Trubisky is, okay.
Interesting as well.
Jones. I'm looking at their defense. I don't see much change. Oh, they've got
Joey Bosa.
So Joey Bosa for Von Miller, I think, is the big change there.
That's good. That's an upgrade. It's a
younger pass rusher, definitely.
Yeah.
A guy that will play bigger minutes. So
their secondaries lost a few safeties over the last few years.
Yeah, White's
so
still there. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go. But yeah, I think not winning the division would be pretty surprising in the AFC East. The team that's probably most likely to win it, if it's not them, is the Miami Dolphins. They went 8-9 last year under Coach Mike McDaniel. With a grain of salt, Tua probably missed close to half the year last year.
yeah, and Tua's a big question mark. He needs to be healthy. He has that history of concussions. He might be the first quarterback that should probably wear a Guardian cap. But
Is he going to wear one?
I haven't seen him. I doubt it. But if he needs bubble wrap, bro, whatever he do to get through a season, that's what Dolphins need.
100%.
I think they have enough offensive capability. A-Chain's got the calf at the moment, but
Ollie Gordon's their rookie, 6th rounder, I think.
yeah. And he's been played pretty good preseason. For a bit of a fantasy smoky there because Devon's hurt and
Jalen
Wright has really struggled in the preseason. Averaged less than 2 yards a carry. So he's come on in leaps and bounds. So they've got Hill and Waddle there. The offensive line so their defense is still pretty good, and I believe Vic Fangio is still there. So they have a solid-ish defense. So. They're one of those teams that just needs a hot month or so, and they might be able to sneak a wild card in the playoffs.
Yeah, if Tua stays healthy, I could see them playing playoff football. They also added Darren Waller, so I think was sort of in retirement or some sort of semi-retirement. Came back out. Jonnu Smith goes to Pittsburgh, so Waller the baller is back in the NFL, and their defense is handy. Yeah, not elite, but handy.
Yeah, it's got a lot of name value there.
Fitzpatrick's there.
Yeah, Chop Robinson and Bradley Chubb are still there. They have Phillips as well, who's coming back from his...
One of the best names in the NFL, that corner, Storm Duck.
Yes.
Have you seen some of the funny names in college football this year? Oh, it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
Getting absolutely out of control.
I did look... I tried to find an answer to our Jaden question last week, what happened probably around 05. And the best I could find was Britney Spears named her daughter or son Jaden or something in that time frame, and that was kind of lines up. Obviously maybe it was a big thing in America at the time. So,
dude, the Jalen's in the draft this year, the NFL draft, there's crazy amount of Jalen's.
Houston have 5 on their team at the moment.
Wild.
Of like that Jalen variety. So, yeah.
Popular name.
Yes.
All right, the Jets, they finished 3rd in the division last year. They went 5-12. They did sack Robert Saleh relatively early in the year. Aaron Glenn, who was the Lions defensive coordinator, takes on his first head coaching job. He actually played 8 seasons for the Jets back in the late 90s as a corner. And all the storylines will be around Justin Fields and potentially redemption for him coming in to replace Aaron Rodgers, who goes over to Pittsburgh. How do you feel the Jets are looking for 2025?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big challenge, is Fields. Preseason footage and things like that, not everything. And I've seen some highlights of balls sailing over Wilson's head. So, you have those concerns, but you'd rather that in practice versus a regular season game. So hard to say. That team's going to ride on Justin Fields. They've got some decent offensive weapons, and their defense still has got, again, some good name value there. And Aaron Glenn, can turn that team around. They just need a solid offense to be competitive. But I just don't think Fields has just not proven enough to be confident in it. So I just don't think they can be competitive enough in that division against the Bills.
He should hopefully get some protection because they've invested heavily in the offensive line over the past couple of drafts. The defense could be good to very good, based on name value. They certainly had a down year last year in terms of bang for buck and some of the name value. But yeah, like you said, Will McDonald, Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner. Yeah. They've definitely, from a name value perspective, got some weapons on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, I think the defense is going to have to really be stepping up because I can't imagine the offense is elite. I could see them being functional.
Yeah, well, like Hall and Allen, I think they have a pretty good split. Split there. They're 2 big backs, so they can get you yards. Wilson's the main dude there, and they've got some older heads in Reynolds and Lazard still floating around. So,
Bring in rookie Mason Taylor,
as well,
son of Jason Taylor, who was Miami defensive end, and nephew, I believe, of Zach Thomas, coming into the mix. But I think it'll be a struggle. I'd be surprised if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah, especially in the division.
Do you think the Patriots could jump the Jets this year? Do you think the Patriots are trending in the right direction? They came last in the division last year, 4-13. They bring in Patriots legend Mike Vrabel to coach them this year.
Yep, still have Josh McDaniels there as OC. I like their talent at quarterback more. I think Drake May is a good quarterback that's only to grow and adjust. I think they've got a decent trio of running backs. Adding Stefan Diggs, like to give him a good big name value. A wide receiver helps. I think the line needs work. Will Campbell comes in there at left tackle.
4th overall pick.
Yeah, so another young fella. So, they've got bits there. Their defense is...
I think defense getting there.
Yeah, it's historically been solid for a long time. So, they got, again, name value floating around there. So they're another team that's like, yes, I think they're good, probably, hopefully on the way back to being relevant, but a year or two away from being competitive.
Probably not winning double-digit games this year, but I could see them winning more than 4 as per last year.
Agree.
I think we're pretty much seeing eye to eye here in the AFC East. Would be very surprised if the Bills don't top the division. Probably Josh Allen getting hurt is maybe the only way that happens. As football fans, would like to see a full year of health out of Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, agree.
And it'll be interesting to see how Tyreek Hill goes. I didn't mention him when we were talking about Miami, but spoke about him in the fantasy wrap, and had a down year by his lofty standards last year. So does he stay as their number one, or does Waddle potentially overtake Hill as a number one? And then the Jets and the Pats probably making up the numbers. Maybe the Pats in a better position moving forward under Drake May. Mm-hmm. Let's go over to the AFC North, and the Baltimore Ravens won this division last year, 12-5 under John Harbaugh, and probably should have been the MVP in a lot of people's books, Lamar Jackson. Yep. They do add a little bit of old man talent in DeAndre Hopkins and a very good cornerback in Jair Alexander to already pretty reasonable defense.
Yep.
Do you see them winning the division, or do you reckon they could get a run for their money potentially from the Steelers or Bengals?
I think they should probably win the division, because I think the other two still have more question marks. They're a more complete roster. And for them, I think it's Super Bowl buster as well. They're trying to capitalize on the talent of Lamar while he's still young. Another MVP caliber quarterback, you need to turn that into Super Bowls more often than not, because it is very hard to do. So, they've added some veteran talent to that roster, as you said, and that's where they're pushing. I think their defense needs to start the season better than it did last year. I think that's the main thing. They struggled, I think, the first 8 weeks. I think the stat I saw was they were giving up 25 points a game on average through the first 2 months. So, be better on defense to start with. And historically, that's what a whole Harbaugh Ravens team has kind of looked like, be better on defense. And Lamar will take care of the rest. So I still think they'll win the division, and they'll be one of those teams competing for a Super Bowl.
He's a freak. He's that Lamar is, and I think much the same as the Bills. They're really in Super Bowl or bust mode. In the AFC, potentially a clearer path as well to the Super Bowl. And I like what you said, comparing them to the Bengals and Steelers. That complete roster, better on probably both sides of the ball. Bengals probably going to be firing offense again, but their defense
score 50 points a game. Might leak 40. So,
and then the Steelers defensively are normally pretty solid, but it's going to be interesting with Aaron Rodgers coming in. So let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've got some odds here. So $1.57 for the Ravens to win the North. The Steelers are at $5.50 to win the North. They bring in one of my favourite players of all time as a Green Bay Packers fan, Aaron Rodgers, and they paid DK Metcalf some pretty handy wide receiver one money for DK. How do you think they'll go this year?
Yeah, well, again, a lot of this is going to be QB driven. That's how teams depends on. And the question for Steelers fans is, what Aaron Rodgers are you getting? Is he washed, or another year removed from his bad Achilles injury? Is he back to gunslinger, and can he make that connection with DK work on a regular basis? Because that's basically the offense. We've got some young talent at running back. The line's okay, but they just got to be good enough, and hopefully their defense will be as dominant as it has been. They'll go probably 10-7, just above 500 as they usually do, and try to sneak their way into the playoffs. That's a fairly typical Steelers season. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They've probably got the most ceiling, I reckon, they've got the most potential to improve with a new quarterback coming in. You have to think this defense has been carrying some pretty ordinary quarterback play over the last 5 years. So, yes, the bloke is 41, but he's not that far removed from...
MVPs or
MVPs
seasons,
and 40 touchdown, 4 intercept type seasons. And we haven't seen a quarterback dominate in their 40s to a Super Bowl level. Oh, wait. Hang on. So I think it's an interesting storyline in this year in Pittsburgh. It's going to be tough because there's 3 teams that are probably on paper
it's one of the harder
playoff teams in this division.
Yeah. Outside the Browns, who are making up the numbers.
That's why I said 3.
The other 3, it's a tough division for them.
So speaking of the third team, the Cincinnati Bengals had one of the best seasons offensively of all time last year and missed the playoffs. So the big question is going to be how much has their defense improved? And look, we should see regression really from Burrow and Chase. The Triple Crown winner in Jamar Chase and Joey Burr played lights out football last year. It'd be hard to maintain that lofty standard, but if their defense plays a little bit more ball, maybe they won't have to be, like you said, scoring stupid amounts of points to win games.
Which I think is the issue because their defense potentially will be worse.
Trey Hendrickson stayed, so there was some talk of him leaving. So they keep the sack leader last year in Trey Hendrickson.
Did he re-sign? I don't think he signed yet.
He's still on the roster.
Still on the roster, but he's not signing. He's still holding out. So the last I heard was they haven't officially signed him, but he's not anywhere near the team. So we'll have to see how that plays out for Henderson. I saw some trade rumors for Raiders. Yeah, that sounds about right. Floating around,
bro. If he goes, that's
danger
for the defense.
I think their defense is poo-poo in that regards. And their offensive line's okay, needs improvement to protect Burrow long term. You saw that sack he took in the preseason.
Yeah, that's a bad preseason sack.
It looked more of the same for bad offensive line play. They're going to have to score a fuckload of points, and they've got plenty of talent. That's where they've
on offense.
Their skill positions, and that's where they've put their money. So, I still think they're potentially a playoff team.
I think so too,
based on that talent level. But they're 1 or 2 injuries away, and they're going to have some tough games. And like we said, we just think the Ravens are a better overall team in that division, for example. So, likely having to make it the hard way wild card.
So through half of the AFC, we've got the Bills playing playoffs. We've got the Ravens playing playoffs. Would you like to say anyone else for,
Well, I think Bengals are one of my wildcard options from what I said, the last body as well.
Yep.
The lines. You've just skipped straight over the Browns there as well. So.
No, you didn't even want to talk about it. So Cleveland finished 3-14 last year under a former coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski. It's likely that Joe Flacco is going to be starting.
He's been named starter.
Confirmed.
But I saw rumours from today that Deshaun Watson's probably not too far away. He did re-rupture his Achilles in January, and I think the average is 9 months to 12 months to that. So if he's on 9 months, he's right on schedule for a start of September, potentially come back. So
is he going to be on the team? They've drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
He's still got a fully guaranteed contract for another 3 years. So unless they're going to eat 120 odd mil, I think he's going to still be on the team.
This is interesting to talk about, right? So how many quarterbacks they can carry?
They have to take.
They can carry 3, can't they?
Because I think the idea is they take 2 and say put Watson on the pup, so he'd be your third. So
could you have 2, a pup and a practice squad?
Yeah, you can have it. So the main thing with the practice squad guys is you do have to waiver them to get them through onto the practice squad. So their question is, can we waiver, say, Dylan Gabriel and get him through to the practice squad? Because from what I've heard or seen, I think it's unlikely Sanders is going to have a job come, a couple of days at this rate. So
crazy,
Yeah.
all the talk going into the draft and him potentially being a first
They
rounder.
also have Huntley in that team, by the way. So we played a Pro Bowl a year or so ago.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's making the team.
Yeah, so
Kenny Pickett's also on there as well. So what are we thinking? Flacco goes in.
Flacco's one. Pickett's probably the backup to start. He's hurt at the moment, and that's why they brought Huntley in. Gabriel's struggling.
Either or out of Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders making the practice squad.
Yeah, and then throw Watson in as a big spanner. This team's going to suck ass. So, like I said, I'd avoid as much as possible.
You get a quarterback, you get a quarterback.
I still think they've got some defensive talent. Miles Garrett's
Garrett's very good at football.
Denzel Ward's still there. I like Bush.
Yeah.
I did really like Carlson.
Schweisinger.
The rookie coming out, will start there, middle linebacker. So, they have some defensive talent, but there's just so many question marks at the quarterback position. Maybe Flacco gives them some stability, but it's the Browns. They'll likely may do something dumb and play Watson after a month or something.
They're 31-1 to win the AFC North, so that might be one of the longest odds to win the division. And you maybe want to keep your money.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, let's go to the AFC South. The Houston Texans have won this back-to-back under CJ Stroud. Did have a little bit of a regression last year, did old CJ. They went 10-7 under D'Amico Ryans, and in a pretty weak division, will start as the favourites. How do you see the Texans season playing out?
Yeah, well, I want to see growth from Stroud. I think caveat probably last year is most of his weapons got hurt at some point. Like all the wide receivers missed time.
Yep. So Diggs did his ACL. Collins had a hamstring. Tank Dell had a
broke leg.
Yep.
Yeah. So go down the list. I think they struggled for consistency. So maybe I'll put that as the caveat there. A little bit worried that Mixon's missed a lot of time. Nick Chubb, like I said in the fantasy reports, he'd been a little bit washed, but he looked pretty good in the preseason game the other day. He still looked solid enough.
Coming back off some horrific injuries, you do have to think, 4 years ago was one of the best running backs in the NFL. That is a long time in running back talk, but would love to see, potentially comeback player of the year type stuff from Nick Chubb. Yeah. Joe Mixon won't be starting the start of the year.
I don't think so. I think it's high ankle for him from memory. But their defense is still really good. It's got all that young talent on the defense. There's plenty of name value there. And in that division, they just have to be above average, honestly. So I think they can easily do that and should win the South for a third year in a row.
Yeah.
Nice. Do I think they'll go deep in the playoffs again? No. I just don't think they're quite there yet.
Agreed. But nice that you mentioned the defense. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, maybe one of the best end combinations getting around.
Edwards and Rankins there in the middle is solid.
Derek Stingley.
Christian Harris is still there.
CJ Gardner-Johnson. There's got some names there on the defensive side of the ball. Chemistry is going to be an interesting thing. So, like we said, Nico Collins, excellent wide receiver. He'll be their wide receiver 1. But then they bring in Christian Kirk and they draft Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and Tank's probably going to miss most of, if not all of the year. So,
so it's going to be interesting to see who becomes the 2 there for CJ Stroud throwing the ball to. All right, the Colts, they finished 8-9 last year under Shane Steichen. Daniel Jones has been named the starter, which potentially opens the door for Anthony Richardson to be traded. What have you seen regarding that?
Well, a few rumours of that. Teams interested in quarterback talent. So, there's potential for people to, want to get into that talent. But I think the Colts probably won't try to move him quickly. They need a Daniel Jones.
Too soon for him. Like they invested a first-round pick on him, a high first-round pick.
2 years ago. So, it was number 4th overall. So, I don't think he'll be moved. They picked the veteran, which I think makes sense. There is some questions about how much pressure is on the team. They do have new ownership after Jim Arcel passed away in April-ish, I think, because I know these 3 took over. So his 3 daughters are now running the club, and whether they see the need to win potentially more aggressively than the old man was happy to take it easy. So it's hard to say. They've got some returning name value talent. Pittman's still there, Downs, Pierce, and then Mitchell's also like second-year player. So they've got wide receivers. They've got JT is still there.
Yeah,
So
one of the better running backs in football.
Yeah, and then
they draft a potentially generational tight end in Tyler Warren. Defensive side of the ball, Zaire Franklin's very, very good at football. They spent a first-round draft pick on Latu last year. Cam Bynum comes across at safety. Definitely not loaded on the defensive side of the ball, but maybe...
They're an average football team.
Yeah,
that's the way
maybe okay.
I think Jones is probably the best for that team from a fantasy aspect to potentially throw the ball a bit more than Richardson would.
Richardson's got to work on that accuracy. You can't be completing at 47% in the NFL, can you?
I agree.
Could we see resurgence a la Sam Darnold, Geno Smith for Daniel Jones?
Maybe a better environment that isn't the Giants probably would be very good for him. And you go back to Vanilla Vic days and
Danny Dimes.
Yeah, see if he can go back to that and relive some of that.
The two teams that finished off the AFC South were pretty dreadful last year. The Jacksonville Jaguars finished 4-13. The Tennessee Titans finished 3-14. The Jags get in Liam Cohen and his bad Duval. I don't even know what the word I'm saying after here for butchering of how to say Duval. Yeah. So big reset, not just with Cohen, but also
new
elsewhere.
GM, new VP. Like they've turned over the entire leadership of that team. Mm-hmm. So I've forgotten the bloke's name. Khan, what his first name? Omar Khan, maybe the owner for the Jags. Yeah, like obviously had enough and. Wanted new clear vision. So, that's why they... Shahid Khan. So that's why they've changed it over. But I think the main thing is, can football Jesus walk on water? That's the main thing. He needs to show that he's a top-tier quarterback. He's getting paid like one. I think I saw something that was like the top 15 paid quarterbacks and there's one Super Bowl between them or some shit like that.
Really?
Yeah, because, you're paying for talent versus... results in this in that position, but he needs to show it, and that further goes to what does the two-way experiment player that is Travis Hunter, how does he fit into that? Because he's going to need to play a big role on both sides of the ball for this team to potentially be good. So, which will, could be a challenge for that offensive side of the ball. So, I'm not super excited about this team. I think Brian Thomas is awesome, and we'll probably get 1,000 targets based on the rest of his team with Ingram and Kirk disappearing and Hunter really only filling the void there. And I guess Brown's serviceable and Strange has been pretty decent, but I need Lawrence to really take a big step for this team too.
Hard to get too excited. I think, yes, you mentioned it. The most exciting thing about this will be watching Travis Hunter potentially play two ways in the NFL. The running back room's kind of interesting in Travis Etienne probably being the starter, but Tank Bigsby and Bashal Tootin they bring in this year, so might be a real committee there. But probably don't see them being a playoff team. Same with the Titans. They do get the number one draft pick in Cam Ward, but pretty hard to do it in your first year in the NFL. The former Miami Hurricane comes into play under Brian Callahan.
His second year.
Do you think they win more than 3 games, or are they still going to struggle this year?
Well, that's the goal. You want growth.
Win 4 or 5.
Yeah, win more than you did last year.
Yeah.
Don't get the first overall pick. Maybe you pick in the top 10 again, but just don't be the worst team in football. I think they can improve on that. They've added some aging talent in the wide receiver room.
So, Lockett.
Yeah, Jefferson's there, and of course Ridley.
Van Jefferson, that is, not Justin.
Yes. So they got some vets in that position.
Their defense is sneaky good.
Yeah, Sweat's there, Simmons,
Jeffrey Simmons,
Drummond,
L'Jarius Sneed.
Got some extra Broncos in that team. So, I think they'll be better. That's the point. You want to see growth from your number one pick quarterback. Show that he's up to the snuff of the NFL, and then see if what you've got in say your young wide receivers, and hopefully they can take over from those vets that I mentioned.
It's a bit of a doo-doo division, isn't it? Yes. The Texans are $2 to win the division. Jags at $3.75. Colts $4.20. The Titans at $7. So not. You could probably throw a net over all those odds there. It's not like, say, the AFC North where you got a team at 31-1, but definitely the Texans will start as the heavy favourites.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and then to a really, really good division, the AFC West and your Denver Broncos play in this division, Shorto. We'll get to them in just a second, but let's start with the Chiefs. The Chiefs dynasty, will it continue? They did lose a Super Bowl, getting smoked in the first half against Philly, but they did win 15 games in the regular season last year. It was a bit of a different Chiefs that we saw in 2023. What year are we? 2024. In that they didn't have this high-powered offense carrying them. It was the defense that was more important for the Chiefs last year. How do you see their year playing out?
Yeah, well, I don't think they had any changes in the coaching staff. I'm pretty sure Spags is still their DC. So the question is, does the defense carry them, or can Holmes get some help, get some weapons, and Rice coming back for however long his suspension potentially will be.
Yeah. So we'll be there for the first 4 games. That's confirmed, and then looking at 4 to 6 weeks suspension after that.
Yeah. If that hearing goes ahead, or whether it gets delayed to February, we'll see. Rice Worthy there. They want to see if Royals can kind of grow into that position. Hollywood Brown's been hurt, and they've got Juju still floating around. They got to transition out of all the old fellas into some of the young fellas, and having Isaiah Pacheco back there healthy probably is a good start.
And we've got to talk about that. They were banged up on offense last year. So Pacheco missed, Rice missed time, Brown missed time. They didn't have a lot of their offense.
They traded for Hopkins to try and fill a hole, and he was serviceable. But
so if they all stay healthy, maybe we will see a bit more of a high-powered Chiefs offense.
But they need to find weapons. I think that's the main thing. Patrick Mahomes can't be throwing checkdowns all game, so he needs to be able to find some weapons that he can throw to. Because I think he had the most. I think his average for pass distance was the lowest in the NFL last year.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Might be a slight mayo on that, but I'm pretty sure it was unders because they didn't really have anything to go deep.
Still won 15 games last year, so we're speaking about them like they underperformed. They made the Super Bowl.
I think with Patrick Mahomes, it's Super Bowl or bust every year. Like you're trying to win Super Bowls with that talent while he's still elite before any potential drop off. So, capitalizing on your 10-year deal with him, you've got another 6 or 7, I think, left on it. So that for me is always going to be there. And you looked at the name value of some of the guys on the defense. They've got a good defense core and a solid defensive line. They're going to be competitive. It's going to be a tough AFC West division to fight through.
Yeah, that might be the rhetoric of the summer, is that the Chiefs probably haven't improved markedly other than getting a bit more healthy, whereas the Broncos and Chargers are both look like they're ascending.
Yeah, it's an arm race in the West, and even the Raiders, they know it. They've gone out and new coach, new quarterback, new running back, etc. And if they want to trade for Henderson, they know that it's tough in that division. But if you want to go, Chargers next? We've got Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers come second last year, so they went 11-6 under Jim Harbaugh. And Justin Herbert, I think, threw 3 intercepts last year, so didn't turn the ball over very much. They get Keenan Allen back. Their offensive line did take a beating. We spoke about it with Rashawn Slater doing that patella tendon.
Yeah, they still have a young offensive line as well. Like Joe Alt, hopefully will slide straight across and be good. So it'll be more an issue at right tackle, but. Allen back, getting Hampton, getting Harris, they're hopefully, better at the running back position potentially. And
Lad McConkey showed that he's very good at football last year.
And I think Johnson's probably going to fall away and Harris might step up into that role. They've got some more wide receiver options for him outside of Lad catching everything last year. So I think they will be competitive. The letdown for them is probably defense. Losing Bosa, they did retain Max.
Max stays.
Yeah, but I'm just not sure if they're outside James, their secondary strong enough, and whether their front seven's as good as it was a year ago. That's compared to, say, what Chiefs and Denver will roll out for defense. That'll be maybe the one caveat where they're down compared to those two.
Yeah, we will talk about your Denver Broncos, and we'll try to keep it under 45 minutes, but on paper, potentially the best defense going into week 1. Try to give us a relatively unbiased opinion. They went 10-7 last year under a rookie quarterback who, down the stretch, went close to being the rookie of the year. Are you excited as a Broncos fan down under, cheering for Denver going into this season?
Yeah, of course. Last season, very much like the Canberra Raiders were this year, they were meant to get the spoon, meant to be the worst team in football, and they played playoffs. So, and I think that's a big thing. Bo Nix, his growth. And I put the same note for him and Jalen Daniels because I'm worried about that sophomore slump, like they're getting Shrouds. Yeah.
Yep.
So, is it going to be Nixon? Is it going to be Daniels? And, both those teams invested in more offensive weapons for both of them. So, for Denver, they've gone out and added Ingram. They add Pat Bryant through the draft, and then bring in RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins as your new running backs. So hopefully he can get some more support out of the run game. That's probably the big one. And will that turn into more offensive output where the defense is hopefully going to be dominant? And if you can score 28 points a week, then that's probably winning.
And you got to go over to the defensive side and have a look. They've got Pat Surtain, probably the best cornerback in the NFL. Nick Bonito is a top 100 edge rusher on the outside. They've added Dre Greenlaw and Tala Haufunga, who are both pretty handy players.
And then they added, where's he listed in there? Where is Barron? He's actually listed third cornerback, but he's going to be their slot cornerback. Barron, was their first round pick. So add another corner. Corner to that secondary, it's going to be a good looking defense.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
5 sacks last year, I think, as well. So.
Yep. Number one defense on most fantasy projections this year. They'll play a 3-4. They'll be pretty nasty on that side of the ball.
Yeah. For fantasy advice, I would avoid Denver's defense purely for the division they play in. they play in a very tough division that has points scored on them. So it's going to be tough to be the number one defense in football.
All right, so
fantasy perspective.
We've got the Texans winning the South. We've got the Ravens winning the North. We've got the Bills winning the East. None of those are hot takes by any means. Have you got a hot take for this? Do you think Kansas City go back and win it again? Or are you happy with your Denver Broncos at being not just a good team, but being a really good team? Yeah,
well, I want to think that on paper they've made the growth. The division's still going to run through the Chiefs, though.
Yeah.
You still got to go. If you can beat the Chiefs, you beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, which we almost did last year. That's the difference. That's where you can potentially become division champion. But outside of that, it's going to be tough. So I think it's going to be one of the most competitive divisions in there, and I guess that leads to Vegas.
Yeah, and I think it's different to the AFC North in that I don't think the Raiders are the Browns.
Yeah,
I think they should be more competitive.
They're probably a 500 team.
Bro, if they're in the AFC South, it could be a playoff team. Yeah. I think it's just it's going to be really hard to do it out of the AFC West, and a lot of uncertainty around changes. All right, so Pete Carroll comes in. He's going to be the oldest head coach in the NFL. They bring in Geno Smith,
but he's qualified. That's the other thing.
100% as a Lombardi, and he's been there twice as well.
Yep.
They bring in Geno Smith, who's had a career resurgence over the last few years. They have this highly touted running back in Ashton Genty, who, whilst you may have had him as a bit of an avoid in a fantasy perspective, just based on how highly you'll have to draft him, is still going to be a really, really good thing for this offense.
Have a good season.
We spoke about Jacoby Myers a couple of weeks ago. Pretty handy wide receiver one, whilst he's not an elite talent, is handy. And then they've got this incredible tight end in Brock Bowers. They don't look horrendous on the offensive side of the ball, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, and there's some interest there. Like I think Myers is good. They seem to have found something in Thornton Jr. Scored a touchdown today. Mm-hmm. So the offensive line's not overly bad. Though they have Charles Scott, Jackson Powell Johnson playing in two different positions.
So I don't think that'll happen. They'll be doing well to do that. The ESPN needs to update their depth chart there.
I think of Bowers as well. So and then that defense, there is some name value there. Crosby's still there. Their secondary is probably not elite by any chance, but Jeremy Chin's there, Stokes is there. Some name value. If they can add a bloke like Henderson, if that's rumored, Hendrickson, potential, then that adds to it. But they're in a tough division. They got to go beat the other three teams, which on paper are better than them. But it's, I still think they can be almost a 500 team. It's a solid team.
Agreed. All right, well, that's the AFC West. We haven't said anything that's too controversial, I don't think. No super hot takes there. There's some clear favourites across each division. Let me just get the betting numbers because I
reckon at least one wild card will come out of the West, and then the North will probably get the other one.
And there's always a surprise or two. It's very, very difficult to pick all 7 teams that are playing playoffs. Picking 4, no worries, but trying to get those wild cards can be pretty hard. The AFC West, the odds: Kansas City Chiefs are at $1.80, Denver at $3.75, Chargers $4, and the Raiders $11 to win the AFC West. Let's go over to the NFC. We'll start in the East, where the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles won their division last year. They went 14-3 under Nick Sirianni, and we saw an historic year for Saquon Barkley and their offense. Any sort of Super Bowl come down, or do you think they'll hit the ground running?
Well, the question is, can they repeat? And I think I saw the stat for a Super Bowl team, they've retained most of their roster. One of the few that retained a significant portion of it. I can't remember if it was like 90% or something, but yeah, they haven't had a huge turnover in players. So if they're still hungry and they want to compete, I don't see any reason why they can't win the NFC again and potentially play in a Super Bowl against potentially Kansas City, Bills or Ravens that we talked about. So, I think they're still going to be good.
It is hard to go back-to-back. Obviously, the Chiefs have done it in recent times, but before then, you have to go back to the Patriots, I believe. So it is hard. It is hard to do it, and the NFC potentially a little bit trickier, or at least deeper, perhaps. But yeah, Philly will start as the clear favourites. They're completely stacked on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's probably the best roster in football.
Yeah. So. I think defensively as well, when you look at their defense and how good some of these players are already, Cooper DeJean's in his second year, Jordan Davis is young, Jalen Carter is young.
Yeah, they've got Mitchell and Jackson in the corners as well. They're
incredible. Yeah, Zach Bourne is a pro bowler in the middle. Reed Blankenship's pretty good at safety.
That front, Carter and Davis at the front.
Yeah, man, they're completely stacked.
Best offensive line in football potentially. Yep. Yeah, and they've still got AJ Brown and Smith and Barkley. It's top to bottom, they're probably best roster in football.
Yep, and whilst they play in a good division, and the Commanders certainly should be there or thereabouts, they probably will have a couple of easy wins, you'd think, against the Giants and the Cowboys. Let's talk about the Commanders. Probably the surprise packet of last season, with Jaden Daniels having an absolute blinder in his first year under Coach Dan Quinn. Again, it's going to be hard because that ceiling was so high last year for Jaden Daniels. But how do you reckon they'll fare?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Can Daniels improve, or does he have that regression? Team is a bit old. I think McLaurin's the big question mark.
They're the oldest team in the NFL this year.
Yep. And you had Von Miller and you got Bobby Wagner.
Two blokes blow out your average.
Yeah.
They might need to do median age rather than mean.
But with McLaurin, there's some rumours that they offered him to the Steelers for Pat Frymouth and a second rounder, which was turned down. So whether that actually happens or not, that's a big change. I don't think they can run that team through Debo Samuels. So that makes it tough. But, are they also making that trade to load up and get Micah Parsons? Because there have been some rumors that Micah Parsons wants to play for Dan Quinn again. Which makes connections, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to trade Parsons within division.
I look at that defense, and the place where they could improve the most is on the D line, particularly as an edge. He would maybe have to go to a down, defensive lineman going to a 4-3 defense. That linebacking crew, whilst a little old, that might be the best linebackers in the NFL with Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, and Von Miller. And then you go into the secondary, and they've got Marshawn Lattimore and a reasonable secondary. They're building a pretty good roster on both sides of the football. Laramie Tunsil joins to go to left tackle. You look at the additions, and I can't really see them being worse, to be honest.
Yeah. They did trade Brian Robinson to the 49ers
as
recently.
Of today or yesterday.
Yeah. And that because of the play of the veterans. So Eckler's still there, and I think it's not listed there, but Rodriguez as well. Chris Rodriguez had played a pretty good during the preseason and filled Robinson's role well enough, supposedly. And
I think they also keep an eye on this Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt as well.
They're very, very happy with how he'd been playing as well. But they're a heavy committee team at this point, from what I'm seeing. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
They went 12-5 last year, and look, really on paper should be a playoff team this year. Dallas and New York round out the NFC East. Dallas, they really need Dak Prescott to stay healthy. Their seasons really get derailed when he doesn't play. And there's going to always be pressure being the quarterback for America's team. But the money they pay Dak Prescott, you'd probably like to be playing playoffs.
Regularly.
Is that a possibility, do you think? Or do you think it's far-fetched?
Well, they got to get Parsons under contract, start one. Because their defense has been average basically since Dan Quinn left. So they've been trending down from being, basically best.
Dominant or definitely turnover dominant defense a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so they need to kind of get back to that. Yes, they've added some weapons. Like Pickens comes across. That's a pretty solid add there to help take some pressure off Lamb. Got a new run back core. Blue did his ankle today, so we'll see how bad that is. Sanders been a bit banged up, so Williams is basically going to be the starter for them, and might be a sneaky value late in your fantasy drafts now, just purely on volume. Because they got to hand off to someone. So I think if with a healthy Dak, they're above average team.
Yep.
They're in a pretty tough division now with the other two improved so much. So it's going to be pretty hard, I think, for them to even get out. So healthy Dak for a full year, they're a better team.
Also, Brian Schottenheimer, famous last name when it comes to coaching. But his first year as the head coach at Dallas. The Giants are probably going to be making up the numbers.
Was Kelly Moore their OC last year?
Potentially.
That rings a bell. So he's now the Saints head coach. So they're going to have a new offensive coordinator regardless.
So a fair bit of change there at Dallas. The Giants got one of the
worst teams. I mean, interesting quarterback names.
Well, also, there's a common theme, isn't it, with teams that potentially might struggle and not being certain who their QB1 is.
They literally threw all the darts.
All the Jackson darts.
That's a terrible one there. So.
That's not too bad, I thought. Works better than through all the DeVitos, that's for sure. But they currently have 4 listed at quarterback. Russell Wilson likely to be the starter in a couple of weeks' time.
They paid him like that. So
and they spend a first-round draft pick on Jackson
And he seems
Dart.
like the least fun quarterback out of that group as well. The other
Which is crazy,
The other 3 seem like they've got a good chemistry. And
they might have the funnest quarterback room.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, perennial happy go lucky type attitude, and then Tommy DeVito, who we saw step in for Danny Dimes over the past few years and actually win a few football games. So it'll be interesting to see who makes the roster.
Yeah, they're going to have some tough cuts. I think they'll probably try to keep Jameis Winston for the fact that as soon as someone has an injured quarterback, they'll trade him to them. So they get maybe some value for him. Jackson Dart's played well in the preseason, and it'll be some interesting questions for Wilson if they start slow.
Yeah, we could see Jackson Dart by week 4 kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, start over 3 and Dart might get a start.
Anything else on offense that you think? Malik Neighbours
is
very, very good at football.
So, the rest of the team overall is not real great. They've invested heavily in the pass rush department for the Giants. Like they've got a good name value in the front 7.
Brian Burns and Sexy Dexy Lawrence.
And then they've got
their secondary is pretty ordinary.
Yes. So they're a below average team.
I think they'll be making up the numbers in the NFC East, but they did win.
If they can get to 500, I think they'll be happy with it. That'll be a big season.
You'd take that right now, wouldn't you?
Exactly,
I think,
but I don't think so.
Winning more than 3 games might be the goal for them. That's
not a bad chat actually. Get the number 1 pick and see if you can get Arch Manning.
Another quarterback, you reckon?
Yeah, get the number 1 overall. Manning, as you will.
I don't know.
Value to the Giants.
Arch Manning has got so much still to prove.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be an interesting...
and there's all the rumours about Archie, so Arch, the grandpa, saying, no, he's not coming out next year. He's going to... So don't tank for Manning.
He could play 2 more seasons
if he
at
wants.
Texas.
He essentially, if he doesn't like whoever the first draft pick is, he can just go back to college.
Yep.
So, but like you say, he's still got a lot to prove. In his relief work, he's looked fucking good, much better than Uwas did, unfortunately. And
they're the number 1 ranking going into the start of the FBS season, which starts next week.
Yes. So, there is that. But, there's that connection with the Giants there. Giants, there's a connection with the Saints as well. And, it'll be interesting. One of those teams tanks for Manning, but he might just turn around and say no.
He might start at New Orleans this year and be the best quarterback.
Probably.
The NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles are $1.72, perhaps even a little longer than what I'd expected. That's
probably
because of how good people expect Washington to be at $3.10, Dallas at 6-1, and the Giants at 19-1. Mm-hmm. Leads us into the NFC North, another very tough division in football.
Yeah, very much like the West and the AFC. The North is loaded with talent and challenges. Actually, it makes sense. It's just like the Packers are ahead of the Vikings, and I'm just like, they've got a rookie quarterback.
3 teams last year in the NFC North had double-digit wins and played playoffs, although all a little bit lackluster when it came to playoff time. Yep. Detroit went 15-2, their best regular season on record. Coach Dan Campbell's really turned that franchise around over the past 3 seasons. Much like the Bills and the Ravens in the AFC, might be in that Super Bowl or bust type mentality for this season. How do you see their season playing out?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. They got to push to the Super Bowl. They've got to capitalize on the young offensive talent they've got while they've got it, and offensive line's good. The big question is defense. They got to play better defensively. And I think Mitchell Hutchinson was a big out. So
they're banged up. Not just Hutchinson last year. A lot of them.
Yeah, they had a banged up defense. So they need a healthy and good quality defense, I think, to potentially have a deeper run in the playoffs. But they're a team that's angling for a Super Bowl. They're a definite playoff team for me. And there is some question marks with Ben Johnson leaving. But I still think the talent value is still there.
Yep. They would be a catastrophe if they didn't make the playoffs, and they'd want to go a bit further. It's cutthroat in the NFL, isn't it? You get the 1 seed, and yes, you do get yourself a week off and secure home field advantage. But if a red hot team like Washington comes in and beats you in your house, then it's one and done. There isn't any second chances in the NFL like we see in our footy down under. Minnesota do have a rookie quarterback. JJ McCarthy sat last year after having a meniscus op. They moved Sam Darnold over to Seattle, and JJ will be the franchise quarterback moving forward. They did win 14 games last year, and I think most of the questions will be regarding how good is JJ McCarthy, formerly a national champion,
10th pick.
In college football, playing at Michigan.
And Vikings should still be good. Their roster largely unchanged. Mm-hmm. Addison does have that suspension, short one, but they've probably added Mason. That's the main thing. The offensive line's still good. Got Justin Jefferson still there, so their defense markedly improved last year.
The defense was good last year.
Yeah, so that if they can maintain that, they should still be a competitive, potentially playoff team. Probably have to go through a wild card with the Lions there in the North. But the whole season rides on the development of JJ McCarthy.
Their backup, Sam Howell, if anything was to happen to JJ, or if he's just not handling it at the NFL level, which certainly could happen, we're assuming that he's going to be pretty good, but it's definitely not a given. Sam Howell is likely to be the backup, and they've got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. But it's a tough division, and my Green Bay Packers will try to make it as tough as possible for the Minnesota Vikings. Under Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love at the starting quarterback. They added Matthew Golden to their wide receiver room, taking a first rounder for the first time in a long, long time. Josh Jacobs returns.
Well, there's a good reason for that. You look at all the Qs there in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, that's right. So Christian Watson has had question marks around his health the whole time he's been in the NFL. Jaden Reed's coming back from a high ankle. Really, it's only Romeo Dobbs that's looking good to go for week 1.
Him and Golden, that seems like the others were all
outside of Golden, Tucker Kraft came along a long way last year. I think offensively they're pretty set, and their defense is sneaky good. Invested heavily in the draft in past few years. In the defense,
Helps when you don't draft wide receivers in round one.
That's right. But Rashawn Gary is one of the better ends getting around. Xavier McKinney showed last year that he's one of the best safeties in the NFL. Their linebacking crew is above average. I think Super Bowl might be a stretch, but making the playoffs will certainly be the goal.
Well, they've got to see growth from Love. Again, he's another young quarterback. He's third season in the NFL?
No, so it's actually, I think, 5.
Third starting?
Yeah.
Is probably where I'm coming from.
Yeah, because he
sat for a little
and backed up
Rodgers.
and learned under Rodgers,
Yeah, but, you got to see that development as a starter. Actually, might only be 2.5 years from actual games played if you go back and look at that. But yeah, he needs to grow. Hurt the thumb, so had surgery. Should be fine for week 1. But yeah,
he's only had 2 full seasons as a starter.
Yeah,
so essentially sat for 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. His numbers have been pretty bloody good in those 2 years. 32 touchdowns, 11 picks in 2023. They went 9-8, and then 25 touchdowns, 11 intercepts. He did miss 2 games last year with the GOAT Malik Willis coming in and winning a couple games in his absence.
Yeah. So, that's going to be a challenge for them.
And then Chicago showed signs last year and potentially will be better again this year. So Ben Johnson joins Chicago as head coach, the former offensive coordinator at Detroit. They call some pretty fun, sexy plays at times. Can he do that in the Windy City? They're going to have a very, very tough division to do it in. What are your thoughts around the Bears?
Yeah, well, another team that's dependent on a young quarterback stepping up and going forward. I'm not sure if Luther Burden for a like Allen replacement is enough for like.
No,
he's a young talent,
quite a different type receiver.
Yeah, exactly. He's more of a Deebo Samuels type receiver, yak dude. So we'll see how that plays out. They add Loveland. They've got him some weapons. The defense was solid last year. They have some talent. They have a solid D, but I feel like they're making the numbers up in that division. Unfortunately, you want to see improvement. You want to go back, see if you can get to a 500 as a team. And then potentially go from there. They have some surprisingly shorter odds than I thought for guys making up numbers. But
yeah, they definitely aren't in Giants or Browns land. So the bookies have got the Lions at $2.50 to win the division. The Packers just ahead of the Vikings at $3.30. Yep. The Vikings at $3.75, and the Bears are only at $6. So no double digits there in what should be a competitive and good division there in the NFC North. Leads us into the NFC South. Tampa Bay looked pretty frisky last year under Baker Mayfield, and they get him a little bit more offensive weapons drafting.
Need them. They're a bit banged up at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's right. Meka Ibuka could be pretty fantasy relevant from week 1.
Yeah. What I understand from Godwin is they're going to activate him off the pup for week 1, but he probably won't play till like week 3.
Coming back off that horrific ankle dislocation, double fracture last year.
McMillan's got a bad back, and it looks like he's going to miss probably a month. So we'll see how that plays out. So Buka's going to slot right in there potentially. We'll have to see. The big thing for them is Baker Mayfield. I think he threw 41 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Can he replicate that is the question.
It's going to be hard to throw that many.
Because that's an outlier in his career. Is the TD regression coming? Does he return to that mean as we talk about? So that's going to be the challenge for them. They still are in a pretty shit division, so I think they're probably the best team. Yep. I think the Panthers might be a very young, talented team, and we want to see growth out of them. Actually, the Falcons are a really young, talented team too. So they're going to have some guys nipping at the heels, but they should still hopefully be good enough. Still got a pretty good name value in the defense. That's
Vita Vea, Levante David, Hassan Reddick, Antoine Winfield Jr. Not short of talent.
No, not short of talent. So I think they'll still be good. And they just got to capitalize on the fact that Saints will be really bad and see how good the Panthers are.
Falcons run second in the division last year, and it's a bit of a passing of the torch from Kirk Cousins over to Michael Penix Jr.
Kurt's still on that team, so there is some questions. If Penix starts slow, they also go back to the veteran.
They certainly could. They're paying him like a starter, so be interesting to see. Bijan Robinson,
another bloke that's probably on the trade window if someone gets injured. Heaven forbid Josh Allen goes down, they'll pick up the Kirk Cousins phone and say, hey, do you want to come play for us?
Some very sexy weapons on offense. Bijan Robinson will be a top 3 pick in your fantasy drafts. Drake London really showed progression last year in his career. They invested in Kyle Pitts as well, but don't draft him fantasy.
He's
burned you before.
But they also invested heavily in defense too. So they've added, It was Pierce and Walker as the 2 young edge rushers. So they've got some pass rush in there. They need improvement out of their defense. They've got to play better defensively. I don't know if Justin Simmons is there anymore either. So, I wonder what happened to old Justin. Their
secondary is pretty fun. AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates.
So, they've they're a young, talented team. They've invested heavily on young talent that now needs to show out and improve. Penix is a big part of that. They're going to have to win a lot of games to be able to do that. But yeah, it's one of those teams.
They've got the division to do it in.
Yeah, they've got some very young, talented division teams. They're just waiting for one of the teams to step up.
The Saints went 5-12 last year. They do have a new coach under Kellen Moore and some big question marks, particularly at the quarterback position.
Yeah, the team just stinks. Kamara is just going to probably get 1,000 touches because he's the only one with talent on the team. Like, Olave's there, but I'm worried about his injury. They are concerned with wide receivers so much they traded with Denver for Vele during the week. So they've added some more wide receiver talent that's potentially going to get a start. You know, their defense is aging rapidly.
Still some good players, but like
a lot of name value there.
Yeah, Cameron Jordan's
not getting any younger.
Pretty old. Demario Davis, whilst very good, is also pretty old, as per Justin Reid. I think it's going to be a long season for the Saints.
The big question is quarterback, and I don't think they're kind of team that should ring up and the Falcons and say, I know you're not using Kirk Cousins. We're in division, but we could borrow him.
100%. They could use some improvement
the big issue for them is their salary cap is just dog shit after Sean Payton basically kicked the ball down the road for about a decade. So they had every year they're almost 100 mil over the cap. So they have to
just fleece
rejig all the bonuses and things like that and extend it out so they can keep their contract underneath. So yeah, I think that Rooster has finally come home to. Wait, that's not it.
The Roosters come home to roost, isn't that? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the eggs have hatched and come back to roost. I don't know. Some farmers shit like that, but anyway,
something about the cough.
Yes. So the Saints are now wearing the fact that they fucked around for ages.
Let's talk about Carolina. They could be a little bit frisky. What do you reckon?
I think
they shouldn't be worse.
Young and talented. So Adam Thielen, by all accounts, will end up back in Minnesota if they can agree on picks. I think Panthers are saying we want a third and Vikes are only offering a fourth. So it sounds like they're pretty close, honestly. So all accounts that Adam Thielen will probably go back to the Vikings to cover off Addison's suspension.
Yep. T-Mac stock might be going up even more.
Well, but Jalen Cocker, the Croker.
Coca.
Yeah.
Coca, maybe.
The Coke Mannix that I've heard, been really high on him. He's played pretty well. They still have, say, a carbon copy of Thielen and Hunter Renfrow on the team. Legette's there as a talent. So they've got young weapons.
It wasn't that long ago that Hunter Renfrow was, the premier slot receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he took a year off, I think, to deal with injuries and concussions and things like that before coming back. So, they're a talented team, a talented young team, I think is the caveat. Young offensive line, they just signed Morton for a long deal at right tackle, so he paid him really well. And then, again, on the defensive side of the ball, the same thing. They've got a young talent they've invested in with all those high draft picks they've had for a while.
J.C. Horn.
So they're a team that's hopefully should be on the ascendant. But again, rely on growth from Bryce Young.
Yep.
Young's got to be better.
Don't think they're quite a playoff team.
No. But if they can improve above 500 again, be average is a win for them, and then they can keep progressing on that. You got to build year on year.
9-8 might win you the NFC South as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Just be in the hunt. Get to 500 and be in the hunt.
That's up here. Sorry, NFC South $1.90 for the Bucks. $3 for the Falcons, $5 for the Panthers, 12-1 for the fair. New Orleans Saints. That finally gets us around to the last division to cover, the NFC West. The Los Angeles Rams won the division last year, going 10-7. So did Seattle, going 10-7. Let's talk about the Rams first. Under Sean McVay, a lot of question marks around Matthew Stafford's health. He's back. Seems like he's going to be good to go for week one. How do you feel about the Rams?
Just give him the epidural. I think they're a team that relies on his health. Be interesting to see how they go. Switching Adams for Cup's really the big change in the team. The rest of the team's basically there from last year. Their defense found some young talent.
Yeah, Jared Verse was really good last year, wasn't he?
Great pick. So I think they can be good. They're one of those fringe sort of playoff teams. They should win the West. They're going to have some competition probably from the 49ers if 49ers can return to form. They themselves have got some big question marks, and cards are interesting. But I think the Seahawks ended up with the same record of them last year, so we'll have to see how that team plays out as well. So it's an interesting division.
It's the most wide open, I think. There's no clear cut one.
Yeah, well, and all four could potentially win the division. I think it's the big difference compared to some others. I think everyone's competitive.
The health of Christian McCaffrey going to be a big thing for the 49ers. They went 6-11 last year. If he stays healthy and Brock Purdy shows glimpses of 2 years ago, Brock Purdy could be interesting. But they already having some issues at running back and wide receiver. How do you feel that the 49ers will look?
Yeah, well, the good thing for them is there's no reports on CMC being banged up.
Nope.
I don't think he's played in any preseason, which is
good. Yeah,
which is good. But also, there's the question marks from last year. The same thing happened. Everyone was like, "What the fuck happened?" But basically every running back's banged up.
Hence signing Brian Robinson.
Yeah, we're trading for him and getting him in because how do you say Isaac's last
Garendo
injured himself today, so he's going to probably. I think he did a shoulder. He's going to miss some time. So they need a backup, and then same for wide receivers. They don't really have anyone, so they traded for Sky Moore from the Chiefs to try and add some young value because they got guys banged up.
So Brandon Ayuk won't start in round one, and there's question marks around Juwan Jennings, who showed a lot last year. So Ricky Pearsall, their number one pick from last year, looking like they're clear cut wide out.
Him and Kittle are probably
going to get a lot of ball.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of ball and see how Brock Purdy can do it. Part of that's also McCaffrey come back because he gets a lot of targets, so you have to see how that plays out as well. So if he's good, that team runs kind of through CMC. They'll be better offensively with him in the team. Defense, they've had a bit of turnover from their team. Denver stealing some of that. So
still have Nick Bosa, still have Fred Warner.
Yep. So they should still be good and they should be competitive. And I think they probably return back to being a good team. And let's say the 1 year outlier was the fact that we're super banged up.
Seahawks went 10-7. They do have a new quarterback in Sam Darnold who played lights out at Minnesota last year.
Wide receivers as well. No DK, no Tyler Lockett. They've turned it over.
So Jackson Smith in Jigba going to be the clear-cut number one. They do have Cooper Kupp, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Torrey Horton.
Well, Horton, I think, should be the favourite. Was he a draft last? I think he was a draftee last year.
Yeah, last year.
And then missed most of the year with injury, but he's looked really good in preseason. So, and from what I was a bit down on Sam Darnold in our fantasy preview, but from what I've been seeing recently, that maybe Kevin O'Connell fixed him. So maybe Seahawks might be okay. We'll have to see.
Just wasn't at the Jets.
It just wasn't at the Jets. No one's good at the Jets. They've got still some decent name value on the defense. They're a solid overall team.
Yep.
Ken Walker's been a bit banged up here and there, so whether Charbonnet will, I think the rumor is they're 1A, 1B as you will, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think they're a solid team. I just don't think they're as good as the Rams, and I think the 49ers on their day could be better.
That gets us to the last team to cover. Well done. You're finally there, if you've been with us the whole time. The 32nd team to talk about. The Arizona Cardinals went 8-9 last year. Head coach Jonathan Gannon and quarterback Kyler Murray. How do you see the Cards going this year?
Well, Kyler Murray, he needs to step up, go back to being a premier quarterback. Less war zone, less COD, and more playing quarterback. I think that's just the step that needs to take. Chemistry with Marvin Harrison Jr. Harrison, needs to get rid of the yips and the drops and really show the perennial talent he is, and that will then carry that team. I think again they're another team that's solid on a lot of spots. That's why they're an average 500 sort of team, but they need to kind of their growth can hopefully maybe put them over the edge.
I think, people need to give Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit more time. Talking about him like he's a bust, and I suppose where they drafted him, he was underwhelming last year. But
I think the issue was everyone drafted him in fantasy in like the second round. I think he was, and again, as Cavi, it was with the issue with rookies.
Yeah,
and you see what Brian Thomas did as a comparison. I think that's where the downness comes from, but he will grow. Like he still scored 8 touchdowns last year, had 100 targets, but
he just needs 5 yards.
Yeah,
you watch him; he'll get 1,000 yards and close to 10 touchdowns this year. That's my
bold prediction. Easy. I think 80 receptions, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. He should be the benchmark, essentially, for what Harrison can do this year. And that just comes with growth with Murray, I think, as well.
So potentially the most interesting from an odds perspective. Where are we? NFC West. Yeah, okay. So they've actually got the Niners as favourites, $2.40. Then the Rams, $2.90.
I think whoever does Sportsbet likes the 49ers because you remember last year they sucked, but they were like
Super Bowl favourites
to like week 15 or something.
Yeah, even when CMC wasn't playing, we're like, does the 49ers, are they that good? Yeah, so they've got them as a favourite, just ahead of the Rams. The Cards at $4.50, and actually the Seahawks at $6.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of all the divisions that we've looked at, potentially, the most open.
Yeah, no clear cut favourite as well, and that'll be a competitive division. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Now the NFC is deep. You know, you look at the NFC, and line through them, probably the Saints, probably the Giants to start off the year. Yeah, the Cowboys got a bit to prove, but I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck in as a wild card. Same thing potentially with the Bears.
They've got a strong North and a strong West, and then South.
It's really only the South that's not brilliant because
the East is good. East is top heavy, let's say.
Agreed. Anything that we have missed? Anything that you want to cover?
No, I think that's Super Bowl pick.
Someone asked me at work. I'm going to say Lions versus Ravens.
Yeah, you pick the same one. That's what I think I said last year, Lions and Ravens. Make it fun. It's something different. It'd be good to see Lions in the Super Bowl, and it's good to see someone outside the Chiefs from the AFC, so that's why we picked the Ravens. Yeah, we're on the same wavelength, so that's funny.
You go... All right. Well, you can have Lions and Ravens. Who else? The Bills?
Well, I'll switch. I'll switch the Ravens out. I'll put Denver in there.
You're going to go Denver and Packers.
Yeah, Denver Packers final.
That's what we want to see here. And then what else? Bills and Eagles could be.
Bills and Eagles could be fun.
We're just going through every combination now.
Yeah. There's going to be some tough teams in there. It'll be interesting.
All right, that wraps up our massive NFL preview. If you do have a fantasy draft this weekend, do go back and check out some of our NFL fantasy vids from last pod a couple of weeks ago. We've got some positional stuff already up, and no doubt in the coming days we'll clip up a little bit of that one. That leads us into a final round.
Before you ding, Lions didn't win that game. After we said they straightened their kick, they went 3-13, I think.
So lucky to hold on.
Yeah. So it was a close game. That means they finished third, and we'll take on Geelong.
So I think this app has already been updated. Yes, it has. So let's just quickly run through it. Adelaide first, 72. Geelong second, 68. Brisbane will go down to most likely the MCG, finishing third. Collingwood will go to the Adelaide Oval in a rematch of last weekend.
Yep.
And then as it stands, GWS in fifth, Freo in sixth, Hawthorn in seven. That's all pretty much...
Pending what happens with Gold Coast.
No. So 5 and 6 are pretty much there. So GWS will finish fifth, Freo will finish sixth, and then Gold Coast with a win, and provided they win by a couple of goals, will actually jump and into seventh, and Hawthorn will finish eighth.
Yep.
And knock out the Dogs. And like we said, Dogs will all be donning the sash this week and cheering on Essendon.
Did that happen to the Dogs a couple of years ago where they were sitting in eighth and they got knocked out?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It happens pretty regularly. The AFL's just been so competitive over the last few years.
Yep.
Anyways,
let's finish up.
Let's wrap this thing up. UFC 319 was last weekend, and Khamzat Chimaev takes the belt off Dricus du Plessis in a bit of a wrestling fest.
Yeah, it was a bit of a very top-heavy card as we kind of previewed it to be. And don't want to say there's nothing right home in the lead-up fights, but yeah, it was I don't want to say meh, but it felt a bit meh. But those two featherweight and welterweights did end in spinning back elbows too.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No. But from a name value, it was a bit unders. The big fight was Khamzat taking on du Plessis.
So unanimous, so dominated him. Was it boring to watch?
Was it boring? Yeah, and I've seen actually a lot of the casuals versus the hardcore conversation. And if you don't love grappling, and you didn't enjoy this fight. But I kind of felt, for me, and it's purely my opinion, that that I would like to see the wrestling lead to something. And that's probably where I was disappointed in this fight, was Hamzat dominated the wrestling, had solid positions, did nothing with them. Wrestled for 5 rounds. Dominated. He was like top position for 40-plus minutes. Like, it's... Actually, that can't be right. It's a 25-minute fight. But
20 do your own research.
Yeah. But he
22 minutes of ground control time.
Yeah, and a 25-minute fight, which is wild. But he didn't finish the fight. They didn't angle for a submission. Didn't really angle like to set up any bigger shots. Just good hits, but nothing significant. So that was kind of my point. Was like same with like wrestling and judo and things like that. Like it's kind of, for me, should be a transition to something that leads to finishes. So if you want to be a points fighter and just wrestle the whole time and be dominant like that, that's fine. But to a point that does get boring after you've watched 22 minutes of nothing. So
and I like that you bring in like the hardcore versus the casual type discussion there. But maybe I have to call myself a UFC casual, because I didn't watch this last week, but I would probably find that a little boring.
Yeah.
Whereas, say a soccer diehard that likes to see, a team hold possession and really strangle the fuck out of another team and go out and win 1-0 might find that completely riveting.
Yeah. But in that conversation, they scored. So that's kind of my point here.
Well, he won.
Yeah. Well, yes, he won. But
he didn't finish him. He dominated him the whole game.
Yeah. But yes, he was dominant, but it didn't lead to like a finish. Like there was no big moment of his. Probably the biggest moment in the fight was Tupacci landing a like haymakers at the end of the fight to potentially trying to steal it. Like that was the big moment. The rest of it was just him dominating top position, but didn't. To me, it just didn't lead to anything, which is where I was disappointed. And probably the same thing that I was disappointed in, say, the Islam Volk fight was he dominated top position, but it looked more defensive for that reason, because he wanted to maintain being on top to limit the fact that Volk could potentially stand up and then, lead to something else that would be detriment to him. So holding someone in position to me is not good enough to win a championship fight. That's kind of like, for me, it needs to lead to something. Like get top, try to mount, try to finish, get space to land some elbows or something so the fight ends. And yes, Duplessis is a tough opponent. It's going to be very difficult to do. But after 22 minutes, you'd think you'd have some opportunities. Or work towards some form of submission, take the back and try to work the neck. And he did that once really late towards the fight. But I just think if you've got so much domination, you have more opportunities to end the fight. That was my point.
What's next in the middleweight division? Do you think they run that back? Or if Imavov gets a win, will he...
Maybe. There's been the Sean Strickland talk because they used to be training partners and they have some sort of beef there. I think it's actually 5. I think it's the Riddler. Potentially.
After he robbed Whittaker.
Yes. That conversation too.
He's already got his next fight lined up apparently with Anthony Hernandez.
Yep.
Who's a 6.
And that's like a month or so away.
Wow, that's a quick turnaround for
Yeah, that's his 5th fight in 12 months.
Wow, soccer.
Yeah. So, and that's why he's flying up the division. So, a good win there over 6 could put him straight in that conversation.
He's 21-2, RDR. It'll be interesting. Watch his space. Obviously, Hamzat looking for his next victim, because it was dominant. You can't take that away.
Yeah, no, you can't. Of course, you can't. Like he definitely won the fight.
Yep.
There's talk that he could have been a 50-40 scorecard. He could have 10-8 every round. They gave him only 10-8. So
yeah, but it's unanimous 50-44.
Yes. So yeah,
so it doesn't get much.
It doesn't get more dominant
than that.
Like yes, yeah. I just wish it had led to something.
Like you mentioned, some spinning back elbows, one from Lerone Murphy and one from Carlos Prates, and Michael Venom Page getting the unanimous win over Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. Tim Elliott also getting the win against Kai Asakura at flyweight. A little bit of an underwhelming main event, I would think.
Yeah, compared to what 320 is going to be coming up in a month's time. There's well unders in comparison.
Yeah, let's have a look here quickly at 320. We'll be able to do a full
Yeah, it's ages away.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
October. So
Yeah.
it's really ages away.
It's October 4. So we will preview this properly, but already announced we've got Ankalaev taking on Alex Pereira. We've got Merab Dvalishvili taking on Corey Sandhagen. We've got Yuri Prohaska taking on Khalil Roundtree. Just those 3 fights in themselves. Jeez, you'd pay for that.
There's another good one I think that's just been added, which is not listed in there.
Watch this space. We'll preview it properly.
It's a good looking heavy card already. So as a comparison,
But
I guess they've got a full month. They kind of
no main events in September. That is October 4 in Las Vegas. We will have a look at that in full closer to the date.
Yep.
UFC doing some business.
Yeah, so they had the China card last night, which was a good time frame for us. The main card started at 8 p.m. So
Not bad. China's still cool.
Yeah, wasn't a great card by all accounts. Well, it was a fun card. Johnny Walker ended up winning the main over Zhang in the light heavyweight division. But the big thing you're talking about deals was $7.7 billion over 7 years.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it's huge money for UFC.
$1 billion a year.
It surpasses some of the other leagues in America for revenue. So it is massive. The big thing is it's on Paramount. Paramount Plus will have it. Had been some talk about the death of pay-per-views because you now can get it. But I think what Dana says is not complete death with, I think the numbers will be significantly less because if they do, say, 1 a month at the moment for pay-per-views, it's like 10 a year, but let's say it's 1 a month. It could go down to like 4 a year kind of thing, once a quarter.
Right.
But which would be like a massive card. So you'd have more frequent consistency fights.
Yep.
And then your big, massive names
Huge events a few times a year.
would headline it. And maybe it's, they're your cards that you aim for most of your championship fights. So you get 2 championship fights a card kind of thing. But regardless, it's massive money. So TKO is the parent company, owns WWE as well, who's just done a massive deals as well for their stuff. They're turning in some massive numbers, essentially, big money. People want to watch, and they're bumping it up. So fighter pay should essentially double as the rumor.
That's a good thing, yeah.
So that's probably a big improvement.
Yeah, particularly for the lower end. It blows my mind that people are in this sport, and then until you're pretty much at the top of it, you're not making much.
Well, it's
comparatively.
It is worse than boxing. So, like in boxing, the top is way higher, but the bottom is way lower. They have a smaller spread. But yeah, if that spread shifts up, 1 or 2 tiers, let's say, then those lower tier guys will be able to make a better living.
Yep.
It was fun.
I'm all for the athletes making a bit more money.
Yeah, one of the guys on that fight night yesterday said that this news report was his bank account went negative and he had to be loaned money for his team to make the fight in China. And then he got a knockout finish and got a bonus, which would essentially pay for his whole year.
Yeah.
So, there are guys like that. The money is super important. So to have improvement on this, remunerated is going to be good, going to be valuable for you.
It's a crazy way to make a crust.
What it means for us, not 100% sure, because I think Paramount Plus kind of rolled into the Amazon package for Australians, but I'm not sure how that's going to separate out with UFC and its current Fox/KO deal where we get fight nights and things through that.
Does this start in 2026? Do you know? I can't really see it in this article.
2026.
Okay. Oh, yep.
So it starts in CBS 2026, and then it might be the following year that it's complete, which is over.
From this ESPN
Because
article,
they're on ESPN, I think, now heavily.
under the deal, Paramount will exclusively distribute the UFC's full slate of 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights. So essentially, you're getting fights every week on its streaming platform, Paramount Plus. Select numbered events also simulcast on CBS starting in 2026. So this is the new model.
Yeah.
Only 4 or so months away. Call it 5 months until 2026. Yep. Watch this space, and we'll preview UFC 320 in an upcoming episode. Yep. Other thing to talk about, the EPL has started. We are nearly through the first 2 weeks in the EPL. Having a look at the signings, I think it's going to be Liverpool's to lose, really.
Yes.
We spoke about Florian Wirtz and the big money. I think he got shouted a beer from the podcast. I'm sure he could buy plenty of his own. But the striker that they brought over from the Bundesliga, French Hugo Ekitike, looks unreal as well. Yep. Big, strong, tall striker. They won 4-2 last week against Bournemouth, and they play tonight. Arsenal and Tottenham are the only two teams to take the 6 points so far, with a few games coming through.
Yeah, Liverpool
tonight.
have only played one game.
Correct. So they play tonight. And Liverpool knocked off Man City overnight. So did I say Liverpool? Tottenham knocked off Man City in the post-Ange era.
Who ended up being their coach? Do you know?
Well, let's see. New Tottenham manager here.
I did see Man City in regulation already.
Thomas Frank.
You're going to tell me.
Thomas Frank's his name. And let me tell you where he has been. Oh, he was Brentford's manager for ages.
Okay.
So 7 years or so. He's a Dane, 51-year-old Dane, takes over the reins at Spurs, and West Ham looking in all kinds of trouble. Oh, it is 2 weeks, so you can't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Like I said, Man U's down there at the moment, right at the bottom. So
well, United lost last week to Arsenal, but they actually looked okay. It's a weird place that we're in.
Right at the start,
where United can lose their first game at home, and given the state of that club over the last few years, people go, actually, it's not a bad effort, because they dominated the possession and they had more shots, and they went down to Arsenal, who really should be there or thereabouts. Arsenal's had 3 years in a row coming second.
Yep.
So I'm sure it's win the league or bust for Gunners fans, but it's going to be hard to go past
Liverpool.
Yeah. Let me get you some odds and just run us through where the F1's at. They haven't had a race, I don't think, since the last pod.
Summer break. Next week, I think, will be the next race. The only news is the Cadillac drivers. It looks likely to be Bottas and Perez, but I don't think any of that's confirmed yet. And a lot of teams are, of course, this is the period where they have their team driver conversations for next season. So, again, time will tell for all that stuff.
Sportsbet may be a bit more bullish on Arsenal than maybe what I would have them. $2.90.
That might just be a pure reflection of the fact they're on the top at the moment, as of this second. But yeah, check it tomorrow and see what it looks like.
It's essentially a coin flip between Arsenal and Liverpool. Tier 1, let's call it, down to Tier 2, Man City and Chelsea. City at $6, Chelsea at $8.50. Then down to Tier 3, Tottenham 26-1 and United 34. And then you hit the triple digits with Newcastle, Nottingham, Aston Villa, Brighton. But yeah, definitely a tiered system with Arsenal, Liverpool, Tier 1, Man City, Chelsea, Tier 2. Watch this space. Through the EPL. Definitely more into our American sports on this podcast, but we'll keep an eye on the EPL as it plays out. We've got a good 8 months of football ahead of us there.
Yeah, well, the Aussie footy will roll off, the EPL and the NFL picks up, then we get the NBA, and we just keep going all year round.
Yeah, baby. Our wives hate it, but we love it. This is On The Esky. It's an Aussie sports podcast, clearly, by our accent, but we do love our American sport. Big wrap-up, or preview, I should say, of the upcoming NFL season, plus just a week and a bit away from some finals footy in the AFL, and then not far behind in the NRL. Check us out on socials. Hit that subscribe if this is the first time you're seeing us on YouTube. We'll probably be back in a couple of weeks to talk all things footy finals and, the start of the NFL.
Definitely.
We'll see you then. Take care.
Bye.